I really think that there's been a sorely missed opportunity for developers to take a step back from competition and take a step forward with community.
Mm,
Um, and if they do that, I think we all win, because community, I would argue, is the one thing that no one's trying to solve.
mhm,
We're trying to solve recruitment. We're trying to solve competition. Tell me, where's community?
mhm.
Honestly, any one of you, go ahead. Shout out what's the national community for Scholastic right now. Any title, tell me.
Yeah.
Where do I go? How do I meet and hang out?
Of the
How
storm.
does you?
Community zero.
There's
Yeah.
nothing. It
That
doesn't exist anymore. And it doesn't exist statewide. It doesn't exist school wide. It doesn't exist region wide. It doesn't exist nationally. It doesn't exist digitally on Twitch. It doesn't exist digitally on Discord. It doesn't exist through any form of skill based development. It doesn't exist on any form of skill based learning or just pure socialization and fandom.
mhm.
Huge missed opportunity. You want to take their time and make it more efficient, in my opinion. Tell Riot Scholastic politely to stop what they're doing with competitive, and their integration with LCS should be, Twitch, symposiums and summits and conversations and learning and uh, all sorts of wonderful things, and promoting camps and educational learning activities and RSSA sponsored curriculum. That will move the needle. I don't see any of that.
So Chris, that was pretty much the last topic. You kind of wrapped it in a nice package called community. And I was kind of thinking more from an organizer and a broadcaster point of view around growing fandom. And how do we get fandom around collegiate esports to look more like traditional sports across the board? And that helps us go out and sell sponsorships in the place, of which trickles down to all our member schools that we represent. But when we go to brands and we can't check that box of, 1 billion impressions and 1 million views, we still are challenged with selling those sponsorships. So my last and final is, do we have any secrets around how to grow fandom or grow community on, let's just start with on campus.
I
I
mean,
got the big one real quick.
Okay.
Best way to grow community: food nights. Has nothing to do with playing the game. I'll give you a real life example. We used to do dollar burger night at the University of Cincinnati. We'd just go out to Bar Louie. We used to have dollar burgers every Wednesday. We'd post in at this time it was Facebook groups, tell people where to show up. 6 people, 12 people showed up the first week. By the third month, we had 40 plus people coming. And it was the biggest revenue night of the week for Bar Louie every week, purely because of us. But we had friendships, we had relationships, we had roommates, we had all sorts of great, wonderful things come from that. And that translated to our lands, our club meetings, and everything from that.
Mhm.
It was nothing beats food nights.
Love.
um, just like pro sports, we need to focus on tribalism. And the way that you create tribalism is you have to prioritize in-person experience, in my opinion. I think that there's a lot of companies trying to become unicorn online platforms, but at the end of the day, I think we need pockets and hubs around the country that serve as regional and local hubs.
Mhm.
Um, once you get a group of people together that share their love for the team that is on their campus, they start to develop a bond around that. You can do that online, but it won't be nearly as effective.
Mhm.
Um, Professional esports is having this tribalism problem because it's the majority of it's online. It's resulted in um, fans following players more so than the teams. I mean, that's a pretty broad topic though. Like we're starting to see
Mhm.
those trends in traditional sports as well start to occur. People will follow LeBron and specific players on different teams to wherever they are. But I think for collegiate specifically, um, schools need to create meaningful live experiences. And if we're talking explicitly about fandom, you have to make the students on your campus care about the team uh,
Mhm.
first. That's the biggest thing. Either you create a level of pride through community engagement, or through the team itself. Um, at a lot of schools, the groundwork is there for this. Like there are schools like UBC, Ohio State, with Buckeye Gaming Collective that have uh, clubs that number in the 2 to 3,000 range, right? So they have a base to begin with. At a school like Maryville, like we kind of developed it the opposite way. When I came in and started building our esports program, we had 3 kids in our esports club, and so we've kind of built the team, and then the club has followed, which is kind of the opposite for a lot of schools. But um, I think that we have to develop tribalism, and that starts with meaningful live events. And the more that these events, the longer that these events continue to be like only online, the
Mhm.
less effective it is in creating
Mhm.
that final goal.
Agreed. Doc, you wrap it up for us, please.
I would just say this: clubs ebb and flow based on their leadership. But if all students, all clubs, all groups are given regular and meaningful invitations to come in, use the space, create what you want out of this, then it will continue to thrive despite the change in leadership. I can just imagine that Cincy student group with Chris, heavy in the leadership there, just being amazing. But there's not always someone with his skill set um, at the helm. So you just need to be open and look for opportunities to serve, even though it can be more difficult, especially in the scheduling of the space. I know a lot of people that don't like anybody else but the players they recruited to use their space. As much as we can, if we want to build community, we have to open the space to
Mhm.
people that we wouldn't normally see in there and let them do the types of things that they want to do.
One more thing, so like on a national level though, if we want to raise the general viewership of all of collegiate esports and not just different pockets, um, that's a hard one because people watch esports to see people do stuff that they're better than them at,
Mhm.
right? So naturally at the collegiate level we're going to be at a lower level than pro, so it's hard to get people to watch for that reason. But what we can sell are narratives and storylines, matchup histories, and as we start to build a longer history of collegiate esports, I
Mhm.
actually truly believe that some of the CLOL storylines are more rich than what exists in academy
100%.
and the LCS,
Mhm.
but no one's
Yeah.
really covering it. No one's really drilling down into it. No one's creating narrative content. So uh, I think that that's the key to getting people to care about it. Like if there's a storyline, people attach themselves to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing before we end. The largest organizations on any university campus. This is a very blanket statement. Could be wrong for you. It's right for many. Campus ministry and Greek life are always the largest groups on campus. Why? It's because of the concept of family. Let me explain. With a club or a program, many people identify, oh, I am a gamer, but I am also A, B, C. And usually it's I am A, B, C, and I'm also a gamer. Not everyone is a gamer first and foremost. And you're only going to capture that population
Mhm.
if you're promoting purely competitive and purely esports. And so I said food nights and social activities. I'm really stealing from campus ministry and Greek life because what you want to do to build community at your school is to make it so that the thing that you're doing is the number one thing in the students' lives. Now that's a very selfish thing to say, but it's a true statement. For you to grow the largest community, your community needs to feel that the thing that they're a part of is the most important part of their social campus experience. That's why Greek life is so successful. That's why campus ministry is so successful. And when you treat esports as a program of just competition, practice, and development,
Mhm.
that's an outlet. That's not a way of life. Not for at scale. Not when 55% of the campus body at a Division One school identifies as a gamer in some way, shape, or form. You're not going to touch that 55%. You're going to touch 5%, maybe.
Howdy, howdy, Fortnite fam. Welcome back to the Esports U Campus Clash. My name is Zephyr, and today I'm joined by the friendly face. Wait, let me turn this way.
I was going to say,
friendly
the other way, brother.
alongside Mr. Laird, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, you are. Actually, we didn't rehearse that even a little bit, so I'm
Yeah.
actually kind of impressed, folks. But yes, I'm here. I'm happy to be part of this. Dude, Fortnite, fun game to watch. I'm excited to see how these are going to be going on today. We got a couple contenders in the mix today.
Yeah, particularly interesting day here for our Eastern Heat. We'll be seeing a couple or a few teams competed out from POI to POI in our individual matches, where they'll be trying to rack up as many kills as possible in our POI battles.
Right. I mean, we got a significant list here. They actually let the casters pick, Zephyr. So we had some discussions before the stream. So I'm not particularly certain what order our producers are going to be putting this in, but the selected on POIs for this playoff is going to be Tilted Towers, Rave Cave, Shiny Sound. We're also going to be going to Sanctum, Herald Sanctum, and we're going to be going to the Chrome Jam Junction, and those will be the 5 POIs that we'll be playing at today.
Right, and obviously, these players will not be allowed to leave the POIs themselves. They'll have maybe a little bit of time to get themselves set up before they then commence the fight. The team that comes down top with the highest amount of KP will then move on with that towards our next rounds, and then we will total that up at the very end of the heat here, and the team with the highest amount of elims will be on their way forward to earning themselves some prizing.
Right. So that goes, of course, that's what you're all looking for. But on top of that, come on, emote on someone when you beat them, please. It would be funny.
Oh,
I don't know how often. I don't know if emotes are banned in comp, but
no, they're not. It
sends a message.
Laird, you're gonna find out things get pretty kooky here in Fortnite across the board. I think I sadly missed out on one of our first POI battles, but the week before that, we actually got to see them duke it out in a very standard storm-controlled match point. And what ended up happening is, some of our teams were getting a little lost regarding others, so we saw quite a few emotes string out and just some general perception in terms of confusion, which I think you'll have a good time with it.
Of course. I'm very excited to get but once we get into that now, let's talk about some of these new POIs that we're going into.
Yeah.
A lot of them have been shifted around a little bit due to the new Chrome mechanic happening this season. So Chrome Jam Junction is going to be a little bit different than in the past, but I think that's a very interesting POI in general, just because of how many readily available resources there are going to be there.
That's kind of or at least the implication for why we picked it to begin with, especially back when it was Logjam Junction. It was one of the more kind of dominant POIs to potentially get yourself started. Not as good as, say, something towards the south as Rave Cave, but still very much adequate here. I'm personally more interested, albeit the Chrome kind of dissuades from the natural exposures there this time around. There's still a lot of disparity regarding the height in that POI itself, which could add to some of the kind of flavor we see once these teams begin to fight.
Yeah, and of course, phasing through builds and phasing through all these building structures that we have on site is going to be pretty impactful as well. So, building up to high ground might not be as effective here, just due to the ability of Chrome to just phase through everything.
Right. I was going to say, building in general might not be particularly effective here. I don't know what kind of time periods we're giving for the teams here. I know sometimes we do have a little bit of a gentleman's agreement at the start of these matches, but even if we don't or we do, you're not going to be seeing the kind of 500, 500, 500 full stacked 150 builds available as we make our way into this match. So we talk about limited resources available, and honestly, a bit more of the kind of RNG coming into the mix when we talk about what you kind of get yourself equipped with right off the get-go.
Yeah, of course. So that's going to be interesting as well. A lot of new items, or specifically the weapons coming in this season as well. So hopefully all players are pretty ready to deal with the new stuff. But hey, we're going to be hopping right into it soon.
Oh, we're going to jump in immediately here. As you can see, we've got our 3 teams situated just inside the Tilted Towers area. Now, I'm taking a look at none other than Lethal, a team that has competed here before as they get themselves set up. You can see them, though, very defensively playing already, trying to get themselves away from this team ahead.
Right. Again, just coning up that area. The storm's already coming in, so they might need to push back in the other direction, which they just blocked off. So it's going to be pretty interesting to say the least.
You can see them trying to pull back here. A head tick on the other side will find a little bit of damage from this alternative angle outside the building. They continue to start shelling themselves in. Now, notably, yes, the 3rd team has arrived here to now contribute to this fight. For Lethal, they're in one of the worst positions as it stands currently. You see a few splashes give way to give them the health necessary to keep them competitive here, but I'm surprised that they're at least allowed to get some of this high ground. You can see Leon is dead, which might mean the go button here for Lethal.
Of course, you definitely want to push on this, and you're right underneath them too, but falling off the high ground, getting built up on a little bit. Lethal's still going to be trying to fight the way, but they're on the ground. They got a lot of meds that drop down, so they're in a pretty good position to just kind of pick all that stuff up and keep themselves moving around.
Yeah, we talk about a subtle refresh potentially here for Lethal. Now, I haven't been able to get a quick tune-up regarding this 3rd team just yet, but it looks like they are still well within a full force as they have both of their 2 members ready to play here. Now, granted, I believe Lethal kind of in this weird pigeonholed situation where they're not quite at the top of their high ground here, but they're not in control in comparison to the teams above just yet.
Important thing to keep in mind is that most of those teams that are up there may not exactly know where they're going to be coming from next. So just trying to keep yourself as subtle as possible, or, try to build up. Keep yourselves in a position where whenever you do eventually decide to move, they don't know exactly where you're going to be moving from. And being as diverse as possible in that front is going to be super important.
You can see across from them here, you've got Hezek and Stig. They've set themselves up on the top of this building here in Tilted Towers to maybe give themselves some control. Start this one off. Interestingly enough, Illusion just kind of spreading the weight regarding the builds forward here to maybe get that launch pad set up. They know they need to cover some of this height disparity, and they might be looking to utilize that item to do so. One big question is Haznot, still on this low ground from behind, could potentially throw a wrench into any one of these teams' plans given the right situation.
Of course, it's seeing them waiting in the wings just for an opportunity here. Okay, but it looks like Lethal will be popping that launch pad, and they're going to be heading over to not that building, but a different building around to try to get a different angle on the competition here.
Still, though, it is a higher ground source of control. It looks like it is a bit of a split, though, between the Lethal boys. Obviously, they haven't chosen the direct building ahead where we see the current fight taking place, but SMG has slowly found their way in. Illusion as well. Still trying to source out if we can see exactly where Stig and Hezek have pushed themselves. They actually go completely down to the ground here. I wonder if SMG and Illusion's picked that up.
I think they got a little bit of eyes on contact there. You see Illusion scouting them out. Lethal right now, or sorry, SMG right now just trying to go around and grab as much resources as they can. Rare shotgun's going to be really helpful should this come to close quarters.
Now, remember, obviously, we do keep in track regarding some of the placement here, but the most important factor moving into these POI battles comes down to the eliminations. The more eliminations you have, the more secure you are in your position when we tally these up at the end of the night. We talk about specifically those wins when it particularly comes back to maybe potentially some tiebreakers in the future.
Yeah, living is important, but actually getting some damage done and starting to win these fights is going to be important as well. But, SMG right now, obviously they have that rare shotgun, but they also have an Evo Burst rifle, which means the more damage they're going to be doing with that, the more likely it is to evolve and become a lot stronger later. But there is, I believe, Stig and Hezek are going to be moving around to another site, and Haznot still hanging out there, firmly entrenched in that garage.
There's no reason for Hayes not to move at this point here. He knows the only kind of leaning factor is at least trying to finish in a second place for his team. They lost out on Leon particularly early, so being able to potentially find some kind of success just by existing is all they really can do. For Stig and Hezek, they've once again continued to move their way all the way across this POI towards the other side.
This is a game of cat and mouse at the moment, my friend. So right now, both these players are just trying to keep their high ground, get themselves set up in every position they want to, and still keep an eye on the competition. And it looks like Illusion is going to be on the ground right now, trying to grab some of those fish for some extra meds, probably trying to get that shield fully stacked up.
You can see on the other side here for Stig and crew, they have begun to set themselves up more directly towards the buildings, especially the ones we saw towards the beginning of the game. You got to worry. We haven't talked about Hayes not very much, but they are making their way back towards that location where they could potentially find out that final member they didn't quite finish off. Now, granted, though, they are in a much higher position than where we currently see Hayes not, so it's very unlikely that any kind of action will persist in that regard.
Looks like Lethal and SMG are kind of on the hunt right now, now the builds start. SMG is trying to build up high. Hezek's going to cut him off there, and it's going to be Illusion trying to back them up, but taking a lot of damage at this point. Going to be using those Chrome Splashes to go for, or sorry, Chug Splashes to get some of that extra health back. But right now they are pinned as the competition is right on top of them.
Yeah, there was that slip of the moment where they let both of them to get back on top for SMG and Illusion. Now they are pressured to actually make their way inside the PII's building direct. Maybe find a different way to climb this one up, because as it stands currently, there is no way that Hezek and Stig let these two manage to kind of reap that high ground from them.
I mean, in this position, the best thing you can do is make sure that, okay, we need to figure out when they're coming out, and when they're coming out, we need to have an angle on them. And it looks like Hezek and Stick are actually going to be moving around a little bit here too.
Literally now on the same level there, Hezek potentially looking for an angle. You can see the edits in the favor of Illusion to SMG, but not quite the damage. A shot is taken there, but it doesn't quite find the knock necessary on Hezek. Still, though, with no shielding to his name, he is going to be finding his way back up top along Stig to get himself in a more advantageous situation. Looks like the two from below, they use their last Chug Splashes as Hezek is healing above.
Yep, he's only got 50% though, so if this comes to close quarters, he doesn't have an option to get away. This could become deadly from the Lethal boys. But right now, still on that high ground, still waiting to see where the opponents are going to be coming from. They still have him pinned in a pretty reasonable position. But man, that sniper shot really saved the Lethal boys on that one, because it looked like Hezek wanted to push in pretty hard.
Yeah, for Lethal, they had a few issues kind of getting themselves set up here, but at least when given the opportunity to strike, they made their intentions clear. Now, Storm has finally made itself prevalent within the POI, so now, on top of being in a situation where you kind of need to fight and find these elims, you're also going to be taking that damage as well, which is going to come at the cost of the very little resources that these teams have set up for themselves in terms of the heals. Obviously, after a certain point, there's not going to be any sprays, minis, mediums, or anything to keep these guys healthy.
But keep one thing in mind, my friend. Getting rid of players right now and getting those elims is going to guarantee that you have their resources as well, which means if you don't take too much damage in these fights, you might be able to live much longer anyway.
Oh, you can already see now being pressured by the Storm, searching for resources to keep themselves healthy. Lethal extends towards the low ground here, and for Hezek and Stig, it's the perfect opportunity to do some damage, but not before Hezek takes a huge chunk on his way out here. Stig and the crew looking lower and lower. Stig still has a very nice utilization, 75 on that med mist for the future, as he's going to recuperate with Hezek for now, but granted, we both know not much less. Illusions out in the distance will finally be picked off.
Yep, and it doesn't look like SMG is in any position to go for a res here, but yep, there will be some emoting going on at the moment before the festivities conclude here. And Stig and Hezek are still holding on, 2 players each. Lethal only has himself now.
Ooh. For Lethal here, as well as Hayes not. They are the last remaining members, especially in the face of this duo. Now, granted, though, we just discussed so much regarding the fact of health for these individual teams. For someone like Stig, he's got a problem. With only 20 health on board, he needs to find some sort of health kit immediately.
Right, but it doesn't look like he's going to go for that. He's going to try to help out his team, get a little bit of a better kill, try to break that chest for anything, and will not find anything. So it looks like Hezek will be on his own as well, as Stig is rendered helpless at the moment.
At this point here, it's a game of just lasting. All these teams are well within the POI, but they're extending their distance outside of each other because they know for a fact that obviously heals and the like are a huge issue. Now for Hezek, he's got time to spare, double med mist available, a quick box with only 2 health, and he begins to start healing this one up. Yes, Stig is particularly dead after that zone has come through, but I don't know. Double med mist like this, it is very, very unlikely we see the rest of these teams lethal, of course. And
and he's got a campfire too.
Oh yeah, it's perfect.
Excellent positioning, and that's going to stave off some of the storm damage a little bit. We can't quite see the resources at the moment, but you might be able to keep this fire going for quite a long time. Now, SMG in a similar position right now, going to be hanging out on their own. There's a third one on the ground too, if you could see that, my friend.
Yep. Yeah, Hayes not made their way out from the central position this POI and puts themselves right at the entrance for now. Now, granted, obviously, Hezek in the best position to just kind of exist within this storm here, but granted, 40 seconds to go, it's going to start damaging even more. And you can see Hezek just trying to play around where he can, find some clarity in terms of the setup in this POI, maybe to see if he could source out another individual teammate. Hayes not with a big med kit heal there, you could see off in the distance to keep themselves going for just a little bit longer. Once again, Hezek, lots of med mist.
It looks like Stig and Hezek have the kill advantage right now, getting rid of Leon as well as Lethal. Or sorry, not Lethal. Oh my god, I forget his name already. But he's gone at the moment, and it's going to be helping out them in the long run here. So yeah, they are going to be taking a lot of damage from the zone, but no one else is particularly seeming like they want to move at the moment. So it's just a matter of survival for them. However, Hezek in a position where if he survives, they definitely have the kill advantage.
That's the big thing here. For Hezek and Stig, they're the only team to have picked up the elims in this match thus far, 2 currently to their name, and that means at the end of the day, as long as they just survive past everyone else here, job's done. Game's over.
Yeah, and it looks like Hezek also had a couple keys saved up, so they will be entering this vault, probably securing themselves a couple of additional well-needed resources, as Hayes not below him is going to be losing their life as well. But man, look at all this loot. You got some
splash.
Yep, some splashes, some kits, pretty much everything you could possibly want in this situation. And yep, breaking that stuff for even more. All these chug splashes are down. Rare chests, regular chests, man. This is the best place on earth right now.
There you go. Even more chug splashes there to keep Hezek in it. You can see Hayes not on that mini-map, continuing to extend further and further from that POI to keep themselves healthy. But I'll tell you what, this storm is ticking even harder here on their last medkit. Hezek will try, but even without all those resources, still falls here in second. Surprisingly, it's Hayes not, our lone rat, who comes away at the end.
Hey man, sometimes rat gameplay is how you win, and did not engage in any combat whatsoever, but still found his way in that first place position there. So interesting first sight here. Tilted Towers proven to be a bit of a rat's haven for a couple of these players, but we're going to be heading over to our next POI according to whatever production selects. I believe we will be going to Rave Cave, which is going to be very fun with a lot of nooks and crannies for these players to potentially hide out in and keep themselves living for a while.
Well, with that being said here, we're going to go to a short break, and when we come back, we'll introduce our next BO body on Rave Cave.
And so what you really need to do is build that community authentically by, as Doc said about Dan, what are the people prioritizing, and do that. And how do they enjoy their life? What would they find meaningful? Do that. And then do everything else, because the financials and everything else, the planning and all that matters too. And that's why we have a talent problem in Scholastic Esports. But I will wrap up and say, for the national level, Dan's completely right on narrative. But I'm not worried about that, because the only thing we need to build community nationwide is just time. Mm-hmm. We are 2 generations away from critical mass. And all it takes is that the current generation of students to grow up, get in the professional workforce, and have kids and raise them on the things that they were fans of. It's how baseball grew. It's how basketball grew. It's how rugby and all those other sports grow and sustain.
Cornhole grew.
But in all seriousness, all we need is time. All we need to do is ensure that our products get better, our opportunities become more authentic, accessibility remains open, and monetization remains enough to us to continue to what we're doing and grow.
First, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself?
Hi, so my name is Caitlin. I'm a part of Farmingdale State College's esports club. I am captain of the Valorant Green team. I am a second semester sophomore at Farmingdale State College, and I'm 19 years old.
Okay. Do you like Farmingdale so far?
Yeah, it's really great. The program I'm in is very specialized, and it's not offered that often in the East Coast, so it's pretty nice. I enjoy it.
And what's your major?
My major is aerospace professional pilot degree.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Thank you.
So, is this your first time on an esports team?
No, so I've been a part of the Valorant team for 2 semesters, and this is my third semester, and it's my first time ever being a captain.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Can you tell me a little bit about what it's like being a captain?
So a lot of times I'm organizing the team, making sure everyone is properly set for upcoming games, um, getting scrims for our team, and kind of just making sure everyone is there, present, and possible, and able to play the games that we're gonna, you know, be participating in. We're participating in 2 leagues this semester, so it's kind of hectic.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, definitely. I can see that. How is it different for you as a player versus as a captain? Do you feel a lot of responsibility?
I basically have the responsibility of choosing who, really plays, what type of characters everyone's playing, and what positions and roles we are all doing, as well as being there not only as a team member, but also being seen as in a leadership role and having that sort of respect there, and being able to delegate everyone's role in the team. So it's definitely a lot more different, and my voice is most definitely heard. So I like it. I like being a captain.
Yeah, that's really good. What games do you play, or what is your main game? I know you mentioned Valorant.
Right. So I play Valorant, but I started off with Counter Strike, and I really always have been interested in FPSs. So that background has always been there. So my transfer onto Valorant was pretty easy.
That's cool. What have you done to improve yourself in game over time?
So one thing for my teams especially, I have open communication where we're able to really give our constructive criticism without taking offense. And me as a captain, especially it being my first semester, I find it really important that everyone is able to come to me and communicate like, "Hey, Kate, I don't know how I feel about doing this," or "I want my voice to be heard about this specific thing." And just basically taking into consideration everyone's voice and having that open line of communication is really helpful, and that's something I find really important.
Okay. Do you carry that strategy into your everyday life as well, would you say?
Yeah, communication is really important to me, especially in aviation with crew members. You're always trying to communicate properly and efficiently to get the assigned goal completed, and that works in video games as well as in aviation. So I feel like it transfers very well, and I put my 100% effort in everything I do. I put 100% in the team, the leagues that we're participating in, communicating with opposing teams that we might be going against. All those things, I take it really important and can transfer it very well into everyday life.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you think about CECC and just competing in general?
It's a lot of fun, and we're so grateful for the opportunity to participate. And this is something that every single member of our team has said. We've never had the opportunity to really compete in a fashion where it's not only fun, we're able to make friends, talk to other people from different schools. It's just an amazing opportunity and something we would love to participate in the future as well.
Yeah, we're really happy you feel that way. When your team is competing with other teams, are there any specific teams or schools that your team kind of looks out for?
I think we all have the mentality of it doesn't matter who the other team is. We're gonna put 100% effort, and we're going to maintain our mental, even if the other team is full of radiance. It's not something we're gonna keep in mind because we will be able to beat them. Fingers crossed.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a really good mindset. As you probably know, March is Women's History Month, and you being a woman in esports, how do you think that has an effect on esports? What does it mean to you to be a woman in esports and as a captain? Just could you talk about that for a little bit?
Coming into being a women aviation, which is already really a niche type of thing, especially women in video games, things like that. It's just we're kind of the minority, and keeping that in mind, a lot of times you have to represent yourself properly because you are representing such a small community. So I feel proud and honored to be a part of the women's in aviation as well as being a woman in esports, and it's a lot of fun, and just understanding that us girls are here too and we're as good as everyone else, and that we have the opportunity to be a leader in esports, and that we're equal to everyone. It's really important to keep that in mind because we're here even though you might not see us too often.
I know you said as captain your voice is heard, but when you first started to be a captain, did everyone take you seriously being a girl? Was that respect there, or did you struggle with that?
So I would say initially when I first got on the team, I was put onto a support role, and everyone knows that women normally play healer when it comes to going into any game, and now I'm playing more of a controller based or sentinel, which is very crucial for holding down sites. So by playing that now and then having those semesters in my backpack of experience, everyone has treated me with respect, and uh, I would hope it stays that way. And either way, I demand respect because I reciprocate that respect to everyone else. So it's definitely difficult, especially for girls starting out. That toxicity is there, especially even now. Whenever I play a game without my team there, that toxicity is there just for being a girl. But as long as you don't have that mindset of them affecting you because you're better than them anyway, it's fine.
Definitely. Well, that's good. I'm happy that you're getting respect that you deserve, and that's awesome. And thank you so much again for your time, and I really appreciate it.
No problem. I just wanted to add that our esports club as well, started only with 13 students and 2 teams in 2019. And now we're up to 19 different teams and over 350 students to date in 2021. Like, that progress is there. And even if you have such a small, like, if you think that things are so small, realize that a community is there for you, especially being a female in esports. That community is there for you.
Definitely. That's a great way to end it. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for sharing your story. I really appreciate it again and your time. Just thank you overall. That's awesome. Keep
No
doing what
problem.
you're doing.
Thank you
Thank
for the opportunity.
Of course. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey guys, KTAD here, and just like that, another season of ECAC Esports regular season play has come to a close. Over the last 8 weeks, we saw a crazy amount of hype competition from some of the best collegiate esports has to offer, and as usual, you guys have me one last time to break it all down and to show you guys what we thought were some of the top plays this week. And honestly, guys, I don't have much more to say. Just check it out because I think we've got some really incredible clips here. Let's take a look. In our opening clip, it's Professor Dementium with a straight boot off the stage to kick things off for Bloomfield.
Got himself one. Kick back off stage though. Able to air dodge is going to be that Bowser. He'll do it again, and he'll also bring himself that down smash so he gets quickly back before that Falcon's able to take any sort of advantage. But well, you're gone. The spikes come through. It's a clean kick to wrap things up, and well, he's got one. He's got one stock for his troubles.
Up next, the duel of Donkers and Robeast have some things to say with this beautiful 1-2 combo to close the door on Albany.
Hit the intersection and go straight up in the air for Robeast, who's going to work Central Missouri into the offense. Flip reset's a good one. The pass down to Donkers, and he finds the net. A 3-goal deficit in Game 3.
I gotta say, Curtis, it seems like after these two teams came out of Game 2, right? Again.
In our next play, who needs to be able to see your enemy when you can just take a educated guess?
1-for-1 over towards Catwalk. There's still more where that came from. Myranium is next up, and he will take a couple too many fights. Solsta as well is going to be able to take a couple of fights, winning them both. It's 1v3, and Novacorium won't be able to do anything. Johnson, Wales.
At number 5, it's Saltonics with this huge flank onto Cole College to secure Temple of Anubis for his team.
Right now, it's going to be just destroying it.
Howdy, howdy, Fortnite fam. Welcome back to the Esports U Campus Clash. I'll tell you what, we just got off of our first match, our first POI showdown off of Tilted Towers, and now we're seconds away from introducing none other than the Rave Cave. Once again, I'm Zephyr, alongside me, of course, Laird.
Hi, folks. This is going to be a fun one. I'm a little interested here. There's a lot more nooks and crannies in this cave, so if we're going to be seeing a little bit more of a stalling style of gameplay this time, there's a lot more places for you to hide in this one. However, the good news is that if we do see that, we got some really good tunes to keep us occupied and keep everything fresh and entertaining going forward here. But, there's a lot of potential for your opponents to meet each other on the dance floor in Rave Cave and really bust it down with all this close quarters action that we could have happened, and a lot of high terraces that you don't really need to build in order to get up to keep shooting down on your opponents. But hey, we do get to see the drop this time, so this will be fun.
Yeah, this time around we get to see all 3 of our teams make their way into the POI. Now, notably, this is the largest POI that we will see today in terms of one of our competing spots, which means likely that we will not see any one of our teams potentially duke it out as early as possible. For Hazen and Leon, they have taken this direct high ground on the very tippity top of the POI. You can see already there with the bolt to action in hand, seeing if they can hit SMG, but obviously clearly not able to keep up with that kind of movement.
Right, but already having the supreme high ground position and a sniper to boot. So if any one of these players rear their ugly heads, you have a good idea that Hastenot, who is the king of camping, will probably be trying to take one of their heads off, trying to get a little bit more involved in the action this time around compared to last map.
Yeah, we'll see. Now remember, for Rave Cave, if you're new to this POI, there is so much space, and of course, it's a cave. It's aptly named. We look at directly this high ground, but a majority of this incomplete area is within the mountain itself. So we might not even see the Lethal Boys, or on the other side, Hazen on them, find a potential kind of interaction with each other unless they start trying to search or hunt out for those elims.
Yeah, it looks like Illusion's trying to make their way up or make their way back down to go back to their teammate. Probably trying to see how SMG is going to find their way back up to him. But just grabbing some resources in the meantime, breaking these fences, these walls, everything, just to make sure that if it comes to fighting, they have the opportunity to get down to brass tacks pretty quickly.
Leon and Hayes still not leaving that kind of position there. Neither the same here for Lethal. Obviously, we've got that third team. You can see them there on the mini-map all the way down towards the southern side of the POI. Notably, that's the team that hosts the most amount of elims currently. I believe 2 on their belt here for Stig and Hezix.
Right, so they're going to be trying to accrue as many resources as humanly possible in order to make this one a little bit more doable. It's very obvious that Hasan and Leon have no intention of leaving that high ground, and they're trying to take some pot shots on to Illusion at the moment. Here's the thing, though. Staying up there seems like a great idea. It's very hard to get yourself out of that position whenever you're entrenched firmly like that. Here's the thing, though. Hasan's only got a sniper. And unless Leon's gone down and gotten some resources since we last checked in on them, they're going to be in a pretty vulnerable position because they just might get outclassed by the amount of weapons that their opposing teams have when it finally comes time for them to get up there.
That's kind of what I was thinking here for the crew. They might just utilize this position to give them a healthy start in the very odds early game here to see if they can find any kind of direct pot shots where they may be found. But with movement like that, they may not have to be going anywhere anytime soon. A bit of a mixed engagement from SMG and Illusion finally making their way up. For Hazen on Leon, they still take a subtle micro high ground on the interior here above, preventing both SMG and Illusions from really making their way inside.
All right, it looks like Hastenot's going to be running around on this track, trying to get to some higher ground, see if he can get some pot shots, and also keep his position a little bit more hidden. Leon's going to jump right out using that bounce pad. Hastenot's going to be trying to follow suit. No one has line of sight, and it looks like they will be escaping. Are they going to move? No, it looks like Leon's going to try to engage from the top. There are some fights going on. Hastenot is looking to move around. Leon in a good position right now, going to be healing a little bit. Has a rapid-fire SMG as well as a regular assault rifle at the moment. But yep, trying to get any lines of sight on their opponents. Okay, and it looks like Illusion will bonk his head on that, trying to fight his way out of there too. Leon trying to move around, find a position, and one of his opponents has escaped. He has to get on top of that landing platform though, and he does do the trick.
Well, that's a big reset there for Leon, especially given the fact that Hazenot made a drop fairly early on to go directly within the cave. Ahead here for Leon, just in the nick of time, does he find his way down into the tunneled shaft to defend against what could have been the onslaught from Lethal. And this is hopefully going to give them the appropriate amount of space to get looted up, because we both were discussing how little they had on their belt. But now that they're in their cave, I've got a question. ECAC, Stig, where have they been? Where are they potentially looking to strike?
Looks like they're hanging out the heart of the cave at the moment. If you take a look over the mini-map there in the bottom right corner, that's what I'm seeing. It looks like they look to be... everyone's kind of on top of each other vertically, but it looks like Illusion still has eyes on Stig and ECAC, who are moving around below them. I don't know if they're aware about who's above them at the moment, but going to be taking a pot shot. Lethal will miss his first hit, and is going to try to get out of dodge there, falling down, saving himself from taking any catastrophic damage, but it looks like Illusion's going to be engaging as well. We have the first fight going on right now.
A perfect come on to Illusion there, right into the corner. They'll give him a quick emote and send him on his way. On the other end of this one, SMG does finally arrive, but for Stig and Hezi, they've already accumulated the one elim that they need. A quick recuperation, nice defense to give themselves some spacing here, and they're more than happy to now look to take this 2v1.
Yep, and SMG still hanging out in the Cuddle team leader at the top of the mountain. So, and it's going to be difficult for Stig and ECAC to get back up there, but it looks like they're going to be taking that. And ECAC is down, so SMG is going to be getting one up on the board for his team and bailing out in the nick of time. So ECAC is left with the corpse and all the items that his teammate had, but still a pretty even game. Now, you got to keep in mind that the team that ran earlier has 2 players left alive, so they're going to be at a numbers advantage should it come down to fighting there too.
Well, I will say this, notably here, when it comes back to the current performance of these teams, what I believe is, yes, Stig and Hezi are the team with the most elims on their belt thus far, but they could quickly be surpassed if they're not careful. Very much so in a situation like this. Stig in open air here, going to be broken in terms of the shield, just trying to survive for now. Set themselves up on the line, somewhere ahead, behind the tree for now. It's a bit of cover, the trunk ahead.
Wait,
to
they can
give
break
them
that.
Their safety.
Okay, they're not going to break it just yet. Oh, here it comes. It's not going to fall on top of Stig, though, so they remain standing. But that was a very close situation for Stig. Might have pulled the umbrella a little bit too early, but it does look like Leon and his teammate are going to be finding some rare opportunities to be approaching members of the community instead of just hanging back like they usually do.
Well, it looks like Stig catches an early whiff there, spies it out in the sky, and already begins to send themselves directly ahead towards the cave and will quickly face defeat there. It's now officially 1 elim for every single squad now, with, of course, that one being picked up there.
So, finally, the team leaders who were able to win Tilted are going to be out of this match. So it's up to Lethal to win a 2v1 situation. Now, it looks like he's going to adopt a similar plan to Leon and Hazenot, who started out in the Cuddle team leader. Now they're just going to find their way all the way back to the top and see if they can get their opponents out. Now, while this is considered Brave Cave, haven't seen a lot of action inside the cave so far.
No, I mean, it goes back to Shell's kind of a different interpretation towards the POI itself. And surprisingly, I can't believe that SMG spots out Haznot from that kind of distance there with the bolty action. Provides one shot, but we know for a fact that kind of distance is just unconquestable, as even still, we'll continue to try. Good defense being put up by Haznot there. Leon now approaching from this other angle. Oh, might have been a bit of a distraction. Now they're going to be having to compete on the 1E1E mono here. Haznot on their way up as well. A 2v1 right in the corner, trying to tackle Leon, and he can't do it.
Runs out of ammunition on that rapid fire SMG and will get picked up. So will be Team Leon and Haznot with one elim apiece to win that one in much more dramatic fashion than in the previous round at Tilted Towers. Ironic, considering it looks like Brave Cave was much larger.
Now, for Hezi and crew, as well as Leon there, it looks like both of these teams might now be officially at 3 elims apiece, tying it up before we move into our third match of the day.
Yes, and that one, if I am not mistaken, we will be heading to Shiny Sound, which is a much smaller POV with a lot more small buildings to hang out in. But that does not mean that we are going to be seeing any kind of close quarters. There's a lot of vantage points for snipers, and it does look like a lot of these players prefer these long distance fights as opposed to close quarters ones. So we're going to see that one, but before that, we're going to be throwing it to a quick little break while we get everything set up. When we return, it will be Shiny Sound for round 3 here.
Crucial rocket barrage, and that is all of them off the point. Now it's time to Joker just to get the touch onto the point. Tracer.
Coming back to the Bloomfield versus Keen matchup, it was a clutch finish from Zenipu as he finishes off Brandon without dropping a single stock.
No, one more lease on life. Lease on life indeed for Brandon. Looking to hold the ledge, but a recovery from Zenipu. He says second time's the charm. He'll send him to the moon, and once again, Zenipu will not drop a stock.
Blast packing our way into the number 2 spot though. It's a 4K from Butter to cement the lead for Providence College.
Back roads around the high ground to try and avoid that as much as possible.
Oh my absolute days! Here was me looking for that transcendence to counteract the grab, and no, it was just a big fat go button. In comes the pulse bomb, down goes Studi Poly Wildcats.
Phil, I can't remember the last time I've seen.
Blast packing our way into the number 2 spot though. It's a 4K from Butter to cement the lead for Providence College.
Not much more. That tab can go a long way in the latter half, right? Now Retna bringing out that Stimmy, trying to get the opportunity to move the team in forward. Okay, there's that showstopper I was thinking about. It looks like D-Nuns is going to have that show stopped. Sal, not particularly far behind, a 4v2. But really starting to wake up here on the race.
Yeah, wow, so impressive. And 4K there, just going straight through the entire team like a bulldozer. Will not stop until all are taken down.
And in our top play from the last week of regular season play, it is a nail-biter last-second goal that will keep you guessing until the very end.
Leaves their own open, a little bit of high pass, you angle it in, but it's just off the top of the goalpost.
Goalpost coming in deep. Matrix able to find something here. The demolition comes through. 7 seconds left for a true game win, but in overtime feeling incredibly likely. But tied out of a wide open goal. No! No! Orbital, the waffle iron has been flipped, and Farmingdale finds themselves up 4-3. 2 seconds left on the clock. The only hope for Louisville to win this out is with a kickoff goal. They cannot make a single mistake, or they will.
And with that, I mean, what more do you guys want me to say? It was a crazy week to wrap things up, but it's really just been a crazy season overall with the addition of Division A and what I personally think is some of the most competitive action here in collegiate esports. I mean, what a season, and there's only much more to come. With the playoffs starting on April 4th, you guys can expect to see a lot more action that will continue all throughout the month, and that will wrap up on the week of April 25th. Now, if you guys want to stay up to date on all of that, make sure you follow us on Twitter at ECAC_esports or follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/ECAC_esports. Mondays and Tuesdays, matches will be lighting off at 8 p.m. Eastern. On Wednesdays, it is going to be the doubleheader of Rocket League and Overwatch at 7 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys are tuned in. And as for me and the rest of the crew behind the scenes that works on not only just the production, but these highlight videos for you guys, we just want to say thank you for joining us for what has been another incredible season. And we look forward to so much more that we're going to bring you guys in the next school year, in the fall and the spring and beyond. We've got a lot of great things coming, so stick around, don't go anywhere. Come back right here to this channel, to this Twitter, to this Twitch, to this YouTube, wherever it is you see this. Stay tuned because even more is on the way. Thank you guys once again. I've been KTAD. It's been a wonderful season, and we'll see you next time.
Howdy, howdy, gamers. Welcome back to the Esports U Campus Cup. My apologies. As we're on our way to the third game here, we're about to see that halfway point, whereas we introduce, of course, the shiny sound to the mix on our third POI ahead.
Yes, I'm Laird, he's Zephyr. We're going to be taking you behind all the action on this one. Now, my friend, this is going to be really cool because we have an element hitherto unseen, and it will be the water that splits Shiny Sound in half.
Gosh.
So it's going to be difficult to contest that. You can either build over it and waste some of your precious resources, or you can put yourself in the water, which is a really bad position. You're in the muck. It's a lot harder to move around safely, and you are at the mercy of whoever is above you and has your eyes on the water too. So it's going to be a fun one to say the least. We might see some vehicles or some boats coming into usage here too. So there's a lot of aspects of this particular POI that we're going to be pretty invested to look at.
Yeah, and more than that here, we obviously have a slight tie in our mix regarding our three teams right now. So this is going to be the breaker on its way forward towards the final kind of half of our matches here today. Once we get past this one here, if you found yourself a lead, it's all about establishing, embellishing, and just keeping it on your belt on the last iterations that we see. But you guys can see here, the battle bus has made its way forward here. We're starting off with our drop.
Let's go. So, yep, there is Shiny Sound at the moment. You got access to a lot of these air balloons as well that are going to make it pretty interesting, to say the least. I wonder if any of our players are going to opt to land on top of those as opposed to on the ground at all. It looks like Haysnot and Leon have their eyes on one of them at the moment. This could turn into Skyblocks if we have all the pieces line up.
So notably here, one of the big things that I might be looking for is some of those balloon resets that we sometimes see utilizing the zips up there, and that's going to be something that is comparable to the kind of high ground that we did manage to pick off last time we were at Rave Cave. For now, though, most of these teams just going to start getting themselves set up. We join in, of course, with Leon and Haysnot, our winners from the last game, and actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but our winners of the first game as well.
Yes, I believe it was Haysnot who was able to survive the longest. Now, they didn't get a lot of kills between the two of them in that game one, but game two, they were able to win with one apiece, as well as be the last men standing. So, if you want my opinion, they are probably in leading competition right now.
Oh, Stig. Taking a huge chunk of damage there. That might be the opening for Haysnot and crew. Find what they need. They've got a line of sight just underneath the stairwell there. Hezi takes a huge chunk of damage. A little bit of fall for Haysnot here, but for the two, it's the perfect opportunity to start and finish an early 2-piece.
And keep in mind that Stig and have just landed, so he's going to get stuck there. Shotgun to the face. And Haysnot and company, Leon, are going to be trying to take Hezek out. Hezek is actually going to be retreating, leaving his teammate to die, and going to be trying to find any amount of resources they can. Jumping around, they have the zip line, and they're going to retreat behind to cover across the pond. But that will be one picked up by the previous round winners.
Well, for Haysnot and Leon, now they know they're at an advantage in terms of the future for this game, for these matches, for this series here. Now, obviously, lethal, still a big misnomer in this current game. They're there on the western side of Shiny Sound and have been getting themselves quite a bit of loot here. For Hazen and Leon, as much as nice as it would be to finish off Hezi there on the other side of this POI, they need to get more situated. In terms of the resources, the survivability, it just isn't there yet.
Yeah, but it looks like Hazon's going to be taking your advice, grabbing some rocks, grabbing some wood. On top of that, is a pretty good loadout right now, good close quarters option, as well as an all-around option in that assault rifle. But as we head over to the lethal boys, they're currently hanging out in the boiler room trying to get some much-needed resources and ammunition. And, you know, some healing will go a long way. Presumably, if this goes long, I think the storm's going to be coming in during this first rotation, too, so this will be interesting.
Ooh. SMG and Illusion, we take a look at them, and they are definitely more situated in terms of survivability, and more importantly, look at this kind of position that they host for themselves. I didn't realize, but this is much more vertical than I had expected here. Now, 1:30 until we see that storm start closing, albeit last time around it was not an implicating factor. Given the distance from where the current storm is, it's likely that we might see some of that damage start to tick if they're not careful.
It looks like they're trying to pile up resources in a big pile for each other. They're going to be hanging out in the penthouse presidential suite with all of these resources and refreshments they could possibly need here, should the storm come in a moment's notice.
Yeah, I'm a little bit sad. You know, we got this whole kind of nice and chromed section, but the teams have opted to play for the kind of more normal shiny area.
Right, and you know, Chrome does have some healing attributes, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So for an early storm, it might be a decent idea to rotate over there.
Well, lethal is close. They would be giving away their height, though, which I don't think is anything that we'll be seeing, at least in the near future. For now, it's continuing to stack up on the resources. I talked about not really having the 150 or so builds available, but, I mean, they make it close. A third right now in the hands of SMG at 55. They're going to continue to search for more, getting at least probably the full wood there for taking the zips. I wonder, find the next area.
I wonder, Zephyr, if they realize how close their opposition is right now, because it looks like Hazenot and Leon are actually hanging out pretty close to them. They're actually within distance on the mini map, so you can see them at the bottom of the screen. But I just don't know if they're going to be trying to approach, if they're going to be just trying to grab resources as they have been, or you know, they will be under attack here pretty soon.
Well, we'll see. Obviously, this is a little bit more of that kind of lull state. Nothing's being particularly forced anymore. They were very lucky early on to kind of source out some good angles off drop to at least pick up that first elim there. But after that, big question. We see one of the first chrome grenades here to give a little bit of the extra mobility to SMG, but still back on towards the high ground. We'll see if they take this zip to redeploy.
Looks like they will do just that. Now, actually, I believe that was the first chrome grenade that we have seen in the entirety of the round. And let's try to stay on top of the balloon. Oh, and Hezik's actually hanging out in the chrome tornado.
Just hanging out in there, and surprisingly, that's a more defensible position than many of the spots that we see here currently on Shiny Sound. I mean, definitely a hard shot to hit, I'll tell you what.
Right, so actually Leon and Hazenot are going to be flying around these balloons as well. And it looks like Illusion does have eyes on them. Now, we recognize how good these players are in their aim whenever their opponents are landing. We've been able to see something similar happen from the opposition. Whenever you're stuck in the air, you cannot fire back and you'll get shot on. And SMG's going to take one hit. They're going to retreat back to the penthouse. Actually, no, this would be the fish shop.
Yeah, remember, there's the 3 locations here with the balloons that are available within Shiny Sound. Right now, Lethal is separated. They've got Illusion back on the original kind of penthouse area. SMG, though, towards the northern side, the central area of Shiny Sound direct. And, of course, on the other end, Hezi just kind of hanging out in the tornado.
Hezi's just kind of vibing there, you know, making sure that he's all chromed up, he's in the tornado. The real storm will be coming soon, though.
Oh, soon enough here. This ones have already begun in terms of movement. Now, starting to tick away. We're about 1:50 before the complete closure, which is even less if we talk about the fact that that zone is particularly more south. It looks like things are getting a little bit more dicey in terms of the current weather patterns here. A bit more haze in the sky.
It's going to make these aerial approaches a lot more viable and a lot more sustainable as well, but you do see that big purple blob coming in. The map is about to get swamped, and Hezzy will be the first man to sustain it. Actually, no, they're going to get off dodge. They're going to use the momentum to try to come back around and go for a flank. Looking ending up on top of the balloon, though. I don't know if you realize that Lethal is going to be on their way to try to contest that position.
Ooh, a quick run and dodge there on the mount for now. Illusion going to be expending some of those splashes as well to potentially get themselves set up. This balloon being big contest here. Illusion is still below. Back up into the sky. Hezzy has the prime angle to potentially find damage down. A quick break on the shield will give him some level of control, but it's not enough to finish the job. Illusion, though, is still in a poor position, going to have to regroup here sometime soon. Hezzy now on his own way forward, immediately shot back and decides to retreat.
Oh, and this is interesting. Every team is on top of each other right now. So we're going to be going down to a gunfight, and 175 on the Leon already. He's going to fall early. Hezzy picks that one up.
Ooh, that is tough here. We talk about our leaders currently in the lobby. Oh, I'll tell you what, Lethal are looking to play as well here. Now officially a 1v2 situation. Hayes not just trying to survive there, but he can't quite last much longer. For the first time, Lethal pick up a win in game 3.
Now, you said this would be a potential break point, and well, I do not think that is necessarily the case because their opponents have won 2 straight. Lethal now going to be probably evening up the kill count after that one. So, excuse me, excellent showing there for them, and they're going to be on the board with their first win of the day. And we got 2 more maps to go through, so if they win the next 2, it is no shred of a doubt that they're going to be winning this whole thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to be going to a short break, and when we come back, we'll solve those questions and many more as we approach Herald's Sanctum. Stick around.
That's so cute.
UCF, and it's really cute. I'm gonna move down here. How do we feel? The odds for UCF? What are we thinking?
They got it. No, we got this. We got it. We got it. Go Knights. Charge on.
100%. My friend Nick is behind you. He's gonna record it. Don't look at him. You'll ruin the shot. Don't look at him. Don't look at him.
Come on.
Oh, let's go! Let's go! My smile's probably really creepy. I was just being weird.
Oh, I love being in the shadows, though. Big shout out to the shadows.
We could interview Dilly just because I think he's handsome. You weren't supposed to hear.
Here's the thing about the event. I'm the greatest that's ever lived.
Literally true. I know him.
I think everyone knows that. I think everyone's aware of that.
Hey, do you have a VIP access badge on?
I actually have an all access.
Oh, an all access. I thought it said VIP access.
And that's only available for the best.
That's true. He's right. That's a main stage TO right there.
If this goes live, I'm suing everybody.
It's all right. A video of me, the first clip is me saying, don't put that in. And then it was the first, cut the cameras. Oh, you're recording already? Great. So this is this is Bay State versus UCF. I believe something that we saw yesterday on day 1 of the tournament, but instead we're going to have that run back here. I think they're fighting for a spot in Grand Finals. Anarchy, one of the best Greninja players in the United States, currently struggling against a Terry. Terry notorious for that DLC privilege, being a very strong character with some very strong abilities. Greninja, not so much, considered one of the weaker characters in the game. A Falco player, one of the best in the United States, and he just got spiked by a Terry. Same Terry that took out Anarchy literally minutes ago. UCF still up by 2 stocks. This guy is looking to rip this team apart single-handedly. That is, I mean, nuts, to say the very least. Absolutely absurd. That was a disgusting spike. I cannot believe that happened. Will you hold the microphone so I can sign this? Sorry. For context, he's got a fan. He's actually signing something. He's so excited. What was it like to not hear my voice for 2 minutes? For 30 seconds, maybe. What was it like? Probably bliss. I was signing a mouse pad, which is really cool. I've never done that before. Nobody's ever asked me for a signature, so I'm going to start blushing, but I'm really excited about that. And then he wants a picture. Can you take a picture of us?
I said, is it bad? She went,
No.
I'm gonna go ahead and take that as a yes.
Turns out I can't tie a tie sitting down.
What do you think is the appropriate face-to-screen ratio for a Valorant player?
Face to screen, like how close I sit.
Yeah, like how close should a player sit?
Personally, I play really, really close. I think it depends on your eyesight, but for me, I like playing close because it helps me focus on my crosshair.
Is the value of sitting close, the crosshair being the only thing in your line of sight?
Yeah, that's pretty much the main benefit of it.
It's so funny how close some of these guys sit. Oh my goodness. What do you think is the healthy face-to-screen distance for a Valorant player?
I think it's all kind of personal preference. I guess I would consider myself like pretty close when I play because I like to like zone in on my crosshair.
It is the second person to say that. It's all about the crosshair. And then what's up with the horizontal keyboard?
I don't know, like it just kind of fits like the form when I'm close to monitor. Like I don't know, it might sound cringy, but I like to like be one with my gun, you know?
No, bro, I feel it. I feel it absolutely. What is going on, everybody? I am here with some UCF fans. How are we feeling about UCF? Let's go! Let's go! We've got a bunch of UCF fans in the crowd right now. UCF, they're up by a single game. They're looking to find their third and possibly final, secure a spot moving forward. Things looking great for them against Northwood here today. This guy's playing Minecraft right now. He keeps double building instead of placing the dirt. Pressure's on, man. Everybody's watching. Just kidding. Just me. Cameraman's not over here. Just kidding. He's behind you. There's actually always cameras on you if I'm around. Do you double build all of those? No excuses, bro. Your college esports Minecraft team absolutely rolled. L after L here. Let's hope UCF has a little better luck on stage, huh? What is going on, everybody? I am Septilins. I have the honor of welcoming you to the Collegiate Esport Commissioners Cup here in Atlanta, Georgia. All right, that was good. That was good. Good content, good content.
My name is Dusty. I'm 24 years old, and this is my first year at Bay State College and first year towards my bachelor's there. But I've been going to college for a few years now, or several years now.
Cool. What are you studying?
Right now, I am studying human resource management in
Nice.
business. Yeah.
Do you like Bay State so far?
Yes. Yeah. It's been pretty good so far. It's only been one quarter, but I like it so far. So
Where are you from?
I'm from SoCal. I'm doing it remotely from Southern California.
So what games do you play? What's your main game?
My main game is Smash Brothers, and that's what I compete in. So Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Okay, what character do you like?
Wii Fit Trainer is my main character.
So how has it been being part of a collegiate team at Bay State? Have you been on a collegiate team before?
I've been on teams before. I don't know if I've been on a collegiate team before. I think this is my first collegiate team, but it is really nice, and the teammates are really supportive, and I've met some cool people, so that's nice. But I definitely do have experience like with teams, so it's nothing like.
Howdy, howdy, Fortnite fam. Welcome back to the Esports U Campus Cup. We are into Game 4, our penultimate game here before we make our way towards our finale. One of the last opportunities for some of these teams to rack up the elims that they need. I'm Zephyr, that's Laird. We're on our way to Herald Sanctum.
Yes, sir. And this is a very new POI from what I understand. Very similar to the Queens area last year. But we're going to be seeing this one as well. Now, the big thing to keep in mind is there's not a lot of opportunities to get the resources you necessarily need in this one. So this one's going to be fun to say the least. I'm interested to see this one because there's a lot of high arches and not a lot of resources. So it's going to be a lot tighter knit as well. This is a very, very small POI.
I was about to say, last time around here, we were kind of discussing out there towards the Shiny Sound how we wanted to see some more play with the new kind of Chrome feature to see the mobility, the impressions of how you set up in some of the builds, and they didn't quite play towards the at least northern side of that POI. This time around, you have no choice. The entire POI is set up like this.
Right, so right now already Hate's not going to be taking some pot shots onto SMG. Not going to get too many, but still going to put the pressure alive. And already he's got a tire. Is he going to pick it up, though? No, he leaves it.
It's something.
All right, and there will be a suppressed SMG as well coming in from SMG. So he's the first player of the match to get hit, but not too much. He can find some heals pretty soon if he finds these chests, but a very barren wasteland is showing up for all these players at the moment.
You can see them starting to set themselves well within the buildings ahead here to pick out what resources they can before the rotations become more apparent anytime soon. A quick chug down to give both Hezi and Stig the little bit of shielding that's going to net themselves their at least first echelon of defense here.
Right, and gonna grab what little resources there are without breaking the blocks entirely. So you know, you can kind of see where they are. They got to do a little bit of patchwork on some of these occasions, but still getting full up on shields is no small feat in this situation.
Ooh, can take some time there. Granted, a big, we'll say, impact of this particular POI is how many chrome splashes are available in terms of what you may utilize if you're kind of in dire straits here, and we might see that given the particular situation. But granted, this is one of those kind of larger open-ended POIs, so expect most of the teams here to be taking their time, rotating back out in front to get themselves situated.
So it looks like Stig and Hezi are going to be pretty good in the resource department. They got a lot of good weapons in their loadout, particularly Stig is rocking a purple AR at the moment. But they're going to be coming upon the Lethal Boys in a moment. The Lethal Boys are actually right there. So, you know, if they decide to come here, they might have to get through a bit of a fight.
Oh, it's tough to say. Still at least one building ahead towards the south here for Stig and Hezi. They're just making their way forward. Currently still, I believe, either tied or on top in terms of the elims there. They're going to be able to source out SMG's position. Illusion is still, though, up on top. An immediate break onto the builds might give them what they need to find their way forward. Quick builds up, and now they host themselves on top of the high ground.
Yep, and Lethal just laying down fire right now. In full retreat mode, Stig actually going to be the one who's the main aggressor here. Hezi and Stig both on top of Illusion right now, who's trying to fight for their life. Not going to be able to get these builds broken down just yet, though. Going to get tries to go out from underneath and has an opportunity to do so. SFG providing some cover fire for him. He's going to retreat into that cornfield, try to get some extra speed on life.
Woo! Directly into the cornfield there. That's no kind of cover to work with, and as a result, we'll see Illusion fall in terms of the shielding. Only 60 health to their name. Going to be utilizing that chrome to break through the other side of the wall for now. Immediately trying to stick out that med miss there. For SMG, though, notably hasn't been a part of this fight, but remember, no real resources on his belt. Isn't able to get the shields back up, and as a result, paying the price potentially here.
Look at that mini map. It looks like Team Hatesnot and Leon are in the mix as well. So this is going to be a gunfight for everyone pinned down in this little building.
Ooh, tough to say there. You can see Hatesnot and Leon now just across from SMG on that second floor. Personally, I'd like to see Illusion and SMG kind of group up more directly. Yeah, there you go. To be in a more apt situation. Notably here, Hezi and them have actually moved away from this fight. They don't want to be the first ones to it.
Yeah, okay, but Leon and Hatesnot are right there. So Lethal,
I see him.
Sorry, Lethal Boys are going to be hanging down a little bit. Trying to make sure that they don't give themselves up too much, but it's very easy to see through those wooden builds. Trying to fight their way out of that. I think Hatesnot and Leon both know that they're in there. Are going to be trying to take the high ground and place a patchwork game here. Lethal tried to be very quiet, not giving themselves up.
I mean, they know they're there at this point. It's just a matter of time when they're forced to make moves outside. And you can see them just very slowly breaking apart what exists here on this second floor to make sure that when it comes to a particular edit to get that kind of first shot in, they have complete and utter LOS.
Right, so setup looking good. Illusion's going to be trying to aggress onto Hatesnot, but he's going to be in a 2-on-1. Illusion will be running away, as will SMG. Illusion one tap away from losing their life. But SMG going to get picked off from a mile away while they were in Chrome. looks like SMG is able to get away with their life.
So notably, though, even though it was Leon and them who start up the fight there, Hezi is actually the one to get the wipe on Illusion. So albeit Leon applies the pressure with that squad, they're not actually the two that pick up the elim. They let that one go away from them, and now it looks like for Hazenon and Leon, they're down to one member as well, picked off here. Hazenon trying to find some source of cover. You have to worry. Stig and Hazenon have been on top all day today, and they look to keep this one in their control.
There's no rest for the weary here, and Hazenon doesn't look like they have a lot of resources to be working with here, too. So, going to be trying to move around, get a flank angle on Hazenon and Stig, who are both going to fire out of their own build. Hezi now trying to keep the pressure alive. Doesn't have a good gun to break through that. Doesn't have the resources to go for a prolonged build fight either.
Oh. That's a little interesting there. I thought Leon was down. Maybe a little bit of a glitch on the spectator bug there, but it seems like he is more than fine just across from Hayes, not there, trying to break their way in. So actually, surprisingly, Hazenon and Leon actually in a very, very good spot. Even though Hezi picks up that initial kill onto one of the lethal members, they technically are on this low ground, and with these angles provided from above, they have to be particularly careful on how they approach the next couple of moments. I'll tell you what, though, here, Laird, when it comes to that storm, we're talking seconds away, 1 minute and 30 in terms of the total movement of our storm. But I know for a fact within the next couple of seconds, we'll be seeing it engulf the entirety of this POI.
Those of you wondering, SMG is actually within the active sanctum part, so they are far, far away from the storm before the fight happens. And it looks like Leon's going to get picked up. A lot of their shield is gone. They only have 91 health left as well. That's going to be particularly bad when the storm comes. Stig right now builds up the rocks. The open ceiling is going to allow Leon to barely get an extra pick on him. Leon for 62 onto Stig with the shield now. Hezi trying to find his way back in as well. Hate's not going to fall back down. Stig picks one up, but it will be Leon putting 74 back on Stig as well, who's a lot worse for wear at the moment. He will get picked up.
Now it's up to Hezi to defend here. He will immediately find a quick wipe here onto Leon. In return, will pick up Hezi as well. It is 2 for Hazenon and Leon, and now with, it looks like Lethal taking their time, they're giving both Hazenon and Leon the opportunity to get that revive off, get themselves situated, and potentially recuperate onto SMG.
SMG right now, who's hanging out in the sanctum, trying to survive the storm as long as possible. Oh, accidentally pops out of the chrome at the wrong moment, so now they are really far down. They're gonna have to expend some of their builds in order to get back up there, but has found themselves a bit of a prize in that med kit. Now, as you guys are understanding, Hate'snot and their teammate have just sustained a bit of a long fight. There's some bandages right there he passes up, but it doesn't matter. Got a second med kit. So right now, just trying to withstand the coming storm. Hate'snot and Leon are going to be moving back around. But some interesting facts about Hate'snot. He actually didn't want to partake very much in Tilted Towers. He still won the round, sure, but he didn't compete in any of the fights after Leon died. So they're both approaching, not a lot of health on them. And SMG going to be holding on to his SMG as well as his heals.
SMG has clear sight of view there onto Leon in that moment, and obviously knowing he's at a numbers disadvantage, doesn't want to take the fight directly, but does begin to extend himself forward now. But from behind, he is spotted out, immediately takes 80 towards the shielding for now, back inside the second floor of the building.
I like that idea from SMG. If he went unseen, he would have had 2 separate 1v1s to contend with, as opposed to both of his opponents at the same time. However, now they both have time to converge on his position, albeit a little worse for wear. However, they are still with eyes on at the moment.
Oh, SMG is in a much better position if we talk about the health disparity that currently exists among these two teams here. For both Hazenon and Leon, they have no shielding, nothing.
Leon will be above him a little bit, so he's going to have to go contest that high ground here. Leon gets picked up in one.
Already down there looking for the quick reset. Hazenot's got to find some level of response, but he is completely separated. To talk about these individual 1v1s here with little health to work with. SMG 2v1.
That was just excellent resource management there, too. and unfortunately caught his opponents lacking, not sticking together, not covering each other's backs, and was able to pick up 2 separate 1v1s, albeit not the way he intended to immediately, but with a little bit of extra health. 2 particular one-taps are going to be getting him the victory there. So it will be Lethal winning 2 straight as they move on to the next round.
And Hayes and crew winning 2 themselves in our first 2 games of the day. Now, obviously, this comes back to the elims, not particularly the wins, but still, it is as tight as it gets. We're going to be on our way back from a short break, and when we come through, Log Jam Junction to introduce our final match of the day. Stick around.
So how long have you been playing Smash?
I've been playing Smash for about like 7-ish years now. Well, I've kind of played it since I was like really young, but like competitively, I've played it like 7 years. I played since the release of Smash 4, which was the previous Smash game, and now I've played into Ultimate, so quite a while.
What has been your proudest moment since playing Smash?
That's hard to say because I've honestly had a lot of good moments. It's just I feel like every other week or every other month I have a new moment where I'm like, wow, that's the best I've ever played, which feels good and makes it, I keep going for stuff like that. But every time I play and I play a tournament set and it feels really good and I feel like I'm playing the best I've ever played, probably each of those consecutive moments. I just had a tournament a couple weekends ago in Las Vegas where I placed ninth out of nearly 400, I think, and I think that was one of the best I've ever played, and that felt really good. So that was a really big accomplishment for me.
So you would definitely say over the past 7 years, you said that you've grown a lot in the game?
Yeah, I think I've grown a lot in the game, and I think I've also grown a lot just as a person too. Just like competition in general, there's a lot of learning, and there's a lot of a lot of ways to approach it. I've learned how to teach other people as well because I do coaching as well, stuff like that. Um, so I've learned a lot through Smash. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been doing the coaching part?
Coaching, I've been doing maybe a year and a half ish, maybe almost 2 years. I'm actually not sure on the number. I think a year-ish, year and a half is probably closer to the right one. But yeah, that's been a lot of fun too. It's really interesting because it gives you a different perspective on the game, and not only are you helping other people, but you kind of help yourself in a way too because you can kind of see things from a different perspective, So.
How would you describe yourself? Do you like competing more or playing for fun or?
I'm definitely more of a competitor. Ever since I was young, like I remember playing like board games um with like friends or something. I think I was waiting for them to play, and I think some of them were playing like just like house rules or whatever, and I was like really, really young, and it like made me upset. I'm like, you guys aren't playing it the right way or whatever. But like I've always been a competitor, but at the same time, like you have to have fun because if you're only a competitor and you're only competing and it's all seriousness, like it's there's like a limit to that. So like you have to have fun. So definitely both, but I definitely lean towards the competitive sides of things. So I like optimizing things and seeing the best thing you can do because it all started out with like uh it all started out with it just being fun because when I was younger, I played different games and I originally just played them for fun and I played them all the time, but I played them so often and I got so good at them to the point where uh, it just started to naturally lean into the competitive side of things. And I was so good to the point where I was like, oh, okay, what can I do to make myself like better and how can I see this as like something I can improve at? So it kind of made like a transition a little bit, but so it's both.
If you were to give someone advice who may be looking into joining an esports team but they're kind of on the fence, what would you tell them?
My advice would be to really like think over what they're looking for like in not only in the collegiate esports team but in school as well and like see like exactly does this line up with what they really want and just to figure out what they really want and if it's going to be a good decision from like a scholarly standpoint and from like a financial standpoint because there's a lot of things to consider. Like I thought it over a lot before I realized, okay, yes, this is a really good decision, I should go for this. So that's something that should be considered, and also like the time frame as well, because if you commit yourself to a collegiate team, it could potentially be a long time. um, so just consider it and think through like all your options, and don't ever make it like don't ever make a decision just off like an emotional reaction or anything like that. Just like think it through, I guess.
So for you personally, how many hours do you think you game a week?
That's a good question. It's actually way less than it used to be, but before I would be putting in probably several hours a day into Smash. About a year ago, I was like really, really grinding it and put a lot of effort into it. But lately, like my priorities have shifted just a little bit. Just because there's other things I need to focus on. Like I started working again recently and stuff like that. So it's taken a little bit of a backseat, but it's always something I focus on. So like even though I'm not necessarily playing all the time right now, I still try to get at least 30 to 60 minutes in a day. But I've been really busy lately, so it hasn't been looking like that lately. But if I'm not doing that, then there's still other stuff that kind of goes into it. Like I do a lot of research on mentality stuff and like stuff like meditation and stuff. So if I'm not gaming or whatever, there's still other things that I feel like is going towards my improvement at the game.
Could you expand a little bit on like meditating and how that helps you?
Yeah, so with a game like Smash, it can be like really volatile, and one of the reasons why I pursued Smash is because, well, I've always liked it since a young age, but also it's always been like really challenging. Like Smash 4 came out, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start competing with Smash 4, and I started playing it. For whatever reason, when I started playing it, like I realized that I was getting like frustrated, like I was like kind of getting a little bit angry, and like anger is something I don't really feel very often. So it was kind of like a challenge for me. I'm like, okay, this is really challenging. This game is really hard. I want to figure out how to do this. Like I want to challenge myself. And that was a lot of reason why I did that in Smash. Just like some other things, like it can be comparable to kind of like chess and tennis in a way, with like mentality aspects. And I used to play tennis in high school, and I was never really like.
Howdy, howdy, Fortnite fam. Welcome back to the Esports U Campus Cup. I'm Zephyr, that's Laird, and we're joining you for one final time as we make our way into the 5th and final match of the night.
Yes, and joining us as well, a new team who decided to show up last possible minute just to throw a little bit of a wrench into the status quo that we've been seeing here today in the cup. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I know nothing about these players. I don't even know their names yet. We just heard that they're getting dropped in with the rest of the competition. So Battle Bus made one extra stop at a designated pickup location and has picked up 2 additional combatants who will be joining us for this next round, which will be taking place at Logjam, which is one of my favorite POIs in the game.
I talked about this one particularly early, and it was my actual choice that I really, really wanted to see when they asked us, what particular POIs will we be hosting this competition on tonight for Logjam Junction. We talk a lot about that vertical disparity, a lot about the differences in now the new updates. It's not quite Logjam anymore, it's now Chrome Jam due to the last season and its implications, and now we'll see how that impacts the fights ahead.
Of course, and the additional monkey wrench of an entire new team being thrown in to the mix as well is going to be really interesting for Stig and Hezzy. Now, Stig, Hezzy, as well as the Lethal Boys have been pretty neck and neck here, getting similar amounts of kills as well as winning 2 games each. So going forward, this is going to be really fun. And this is the new team, Drew Capilot and Sadix, already riding in on the Shenron. So already flexing the amount of deep pocket picks they have in their locker. And they're going to be landing on the southwest side of Chrome Jam for this additional start.
Now, we talk a lot about getting yourself set up here. For Chrome Jam Junction, it happens to be on the lowest point in this particular area for Drew Capilot and Statics. I'll be honest, when it comes to where they perform in terms of this lobby as a whole, they need to have a monumental game, and taking damage like that right off the bat doesn't bode well there.
It doesn't, and they're going to throw down a little bit of extra additional healing. They're going to be in range of that while they harvest their resources, as well as get some corn and apples there. A nice, nutritious Midwest breakfast for these individuals here.
Yeah, you know those Midwesterners, they love their corn. We talk about Iowa,
Yes, we do.
Nebraska, Kansas. I mean, that is as good as it gets.
Yes, sir. I mean, me being in the great state of Indiana, Golden Hour is particularly enjoyable to watch here. But enough of that. It looks like Drew Capelot's back into a pretty stable position, despite the fact that they got walked up on a second ago. But it looks like they're going to be rotating around in a very effective manner. Leon actually very, very close by. Going to be getting some flanks going down there. But Hezi and Stig right now are going to be engaging with Sadix as well. The new guys just can't catch a break here.
Can't catch a break, but they are able to find a shot that dissuades Hezi and them for now. Onto the boat ahead here. They'll provide some defense for now. Sadix, though, still making his way forward. It's a bit of a shield bubble to give them some safety. Keep extending themselves forward, but Hezi has taken a huge chunk of damage. It's now up to Stig to front the balance here if they want to keep themselves alive. Hezi's got to find some time to recover or something. Doesn't have any resources on his belt.
He's got to be careful, though, because Hazenot's right around the corner. And Hazenot actually not able to see him. He recognized that, so he's going to hide behind this tree, behind the bush as well with his teammate. Trying to find
oh, he's alone. Leon is on the other side of Chrome Jam right now. It is just him alone in that building. But granted, they don't know that. They're bushcrafting right now.
Right. You know, if they want to jump him, they have the opportunity to. But again, Hezi a little worse for wear. Stig doing a good job at 50 shields and full health. So probably just going to be waiting for their opportunity to look around for any additional resources.
Yeah, got pushed back too early on. Now just have to survive. Once they start hearing some of those shots ring clear and true within the air, it might be the first warning that it's time to make your way in. Potentially look for one of those refreshes off Elim drop.
Right, and it actually looks like Leon and Hezi are now back together, and Lethal actually has the high ground advantage should it come to fighting, which it very might well do. These are the two leaders in terms of the conference play so far today. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see them both in the end game. However, if the fight gets decided now, that might make it a little bit more lopsided in one team's favor over the other.
Hayes not there, and Leon picking up the first two today. Hezi and Stig with none on their belt. Lethal with the two last games themselves here. Granted, we'll have to calculate the elims after fact, but it's as close as it gets. If Lethal pick up this extra elim from above onto Hezi and Stig, it would be a huge advantage. Immediately dropping the Chrome Splash. Meanwhile, towards the center of the map, Leon and Hayes not their own problems to deal with.
Yep, and they're getting picked off from both sides right now. Lethal, a two-pronged attack, one on one team, the other one on Leon and Hazenot. And yeah, they're getting hit by both sides. Hazenot and Sadix and Drew are still trying to get each other.
Oh, they're close.
Oh, man.
Just barely breaks that wall down.
Leon opting to be going for these bandages as opposed to the shields, which are a little bit faster. Heal just a little bit more.
Switches it. It looks like they just had to share for a bit of a moment. They're going to be turning back toward the bandages for now to get himself situated, but still Sadix and Capelot in a much better position here. But surprisingly, they actually pull back for now. They were in a prime position to potentially finish the job in which they started, and maybe they look to do so as well. Sadix moving.
Sadix alone, but he's got to contend with Stig and Hezek on the back as well. Sadix right now going to be shooting down these walls. Hazenot doing his best to play repairman and keep those walls up. If they want to run this way, they got to go through a very hungry Sadix.
Hey, it's something for now. Sadix there getting even more Chrome Splashes to potentially work with. We talk about the safety those potentially provide. Meanwhile, for Hazenot and crew, still facing quite a bit of damage. Obviously, the big misnomer in this fight is the fact that Lethal still sits above on that high ground. Anytime Hazenot here or Leon peek out in a particularly unfortunate way, immediately you see a couple shots just spray and pray a little bit down from Lethal above.
I really do like the thing that Sadix is doing right now. He's opting to move in very slowly, piece by piece, and put up his own walls so that the edicts can't keep coming out from his competition right now.
Yep. Just a quick...
around.
Oh, pulling back towards Drew. Actually, immediately, for a second there, it looked like he was just slowly pushing his way in, but turns tail and runs back here to regroup with Drew for now. Granted, probably just getting himself situated in terms of the resources. Obviously, doesn't want to be expending too many. Only 24 on his belt currently. That's not much in terms of a final fight, especially after you kill Hazenot and Leon. You'd have to turn and immediately contest against potentially 4 more people.
And, you know, contrary to the last couple of rounds, this storm looks like it's actually going to be coming in a little bit slower. So all these players are going to have a lot more time to farm their resources and hold their positions. They're not going to get pushed away for quite a while at this rate.
Storm Pole is actually on Chrome Jam. So there is no difficulty regarding the storm being an issue here. So you have all the time in the world to just kind of reap what you can from this POI. But I'll tell you what, it's getting sparing at this point. There is little to nothing left for most of these teams.
Right, but Lethal still holding on to that tower in a big way. Hazenot and Leon are in between Stig, Hezi, and Drew Capelot, and as well as Stadix as well on the other side too. With some light grave digging here, Zephyr.
Yeah, getting the job done. Don't know how much a star can really do in terms of providing, dig analysis, but hey, I've seen more blunt objects do better.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Gotta eat those coconuts. Get a little bit of residual.
Oh, there's your
healing
friend.
on the
There's your
shield.
corn.
Yeah, there he is, man. He's on the ground. They're not gonna pick him up, but it did its job earlier. A little bit of
Does that make you
healing.
sad?
No.
No?
No.
One corn wasted? That's like Indiana sacrilege right there. That's right in the handbook, the Indiana handbook you're born with.
Hey,
they say,
man.
hey, no corn left behind.
I might be a resident of Indiana at the moment, but I'm just here for college. But speaking of here for college, it looks like Capela trying to put the school into Leon. Unfortunately, though, Leon is going to escape using that extra bit of chromage. Now, the thing about being chromed is you have a lot more mobility, sure, but you're also a lot of a harder target to hit because you're smaller. And I don't know if headshotting is very possible while you're in that form, so it's very difficult to get lethal damage done to you while you're in that position.
Oh, that's a big break there from Illusion to potentially give them some angles. Replaces it with the wall for now to see if they can find some kind of action on a Sadix and Capulet. Still, though, for Illusion, it's not the best position yet. And it looks like someone is now above Lethal. Someone took away their high ground roof. As you can see, the shots raining down on top of Sadix and Capulet.
Yeah, and the new kids right now having to box up yet again. Oh, actually, Lethal got that vault loot. Find their keys together and have a lot of resources if it comes down to it. So they really don't need to push anywhere. They could just stay in this little situation. They don't need to worry too much about opponents coming in anywhere because they can easily hold this. And on top of that, like I was saying, they have access to that stuff. Hang on, no, it looks like Stadix are going to be going a little bit more aggressive. Lethal SMG is down. It's Illusion on his own.
No way. Sadix actually survives all of that. Now, granted, they don't go for the full push just yet, but still, it is coming for Illusion. He's going to have to pull all the way back here, look for some kind of escape outside of the building for now. But granted, with that initial drop, this might be the start here for some of these teams. A quick edit there, a quick pump, and yes, some damage onto Capulet, but we'll see how much longer. SMG completely wiped.
Right now, Illusion trying to fight their way back into that vault. Now, here's the thing. A lot of damage has been done to their opponents in that last fight. Here's the thing. They have access to vault loot that might have been left behind by Lethal. So, both Lethal guys, a little worse for wear. Obviously, SMG is out of the picture now. And Drew and Sadix are pretty rapidly healing up right now.
I mean, they get all that extra loot, on your belt, like you said, and now are in a prime position to just continue to survive. Illusion now has only this kind of 1x3 space to work with here, trying to cover both angles. As we both know the minute that Sadix and Capulet pull the trigger, they can quickly run their opponent down. They're only just paying their respects right now because they know for a fact that they've got two teams atop.
Yeah, but all four teams, like you were mentioning, are on top of each other right now. Lethal just hanging around the corner. The only team with one player standing. Sadix and Drew still maintaining a good spot. I believe Leon and Hezi might be the ones on top at the moment.
Yeah, they're all of them are on top right now, it looks like. Capulet, Sadix are just slowly working their way up, paying their respects where they can. Obviously, they don't want to be particularly too quick to peek here because you could see that very quickly punished. And as a result, it's just one step at a time, one box to the next here as they make their way towards the third floor finally.
And on top of that, they're breaking all these walls so that they have editing privileges as opposed to Lethal here. In case of a retake coming in from Illusion.
You can see here finally a nice free cam on the outside. We get to check out, yes, it's Leon and Hazenot who are just across from Capulet and Stadix. Stig, and above that, I believe, Hezi probably on the roof. situated in the highest of grounds as Illusion is still set up from below. But now
Is he
looks
gonna
like
throw
Haze
party?
and Leon, they're pinched between two.
A rock and a hard place indeed. A 4-on-2 in this situation. Hezi now in a very vulnerable position. Sadix and Drew with quite a lot of health and a bunch of residual healing that they can use as well.
He's not down.
Yeah, oh, dude, that's big. We might
Looks
be
like
having
A's
a new
not
winner
completely
here.
wiped out. Right there. I mean, that's one of our previous winners from this game. Sadix and Drew Capulet. Technically, they're the only team currently to have picked up any elims into this game right now, and they got to keep searching for more. They can't let Storm finish the job. They need to pick up every possible elim if they want to walk away with potentially a victory in this 5th and final game.
He finally ate the corn.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. So he's got a little bit of extra healing here to withstand the storm. And you know what? That is quite fitting. We do get some tornadoes here in Indiana as well. So corn is the best medicine for that, speaking from experience.
Well, for Sadix and Capulet, they were able to pick off the one and now take away this high ground as well. But granted, in terms of their survivability, it's no better than the rest. Still, got to start sourcing out where the rest of these teams have positioned themselves towards the very edge of this POI.
So every team right now, except for Sadix, Drew, actually half of them, now that I mention it, are down. Oh, do they not know that you got to stay in the site?
I don't think they know.
They rotated out of the storm. I don't know if there's any disqualification rules here, but they're going to be trying to zone keep, make sure that no one could get out.
Leon dies as a storm.
Okay, that's not good.
Steg goes down. It looks like our new competitors weren't as updated on the rules as us, and as a result, our
that's going to be a judge's decision as to who comes out on top of that one.
Well, it comes down not to wins, it comes down to elims. So they're just the elims that they could have picked up by fighting in Storm. They are unable to net themselves here. So we will see Statix and Drew win this game out here as the Storm ticks away our final winners here in just a moment. But
and if I'm not mistaken, that was Illusion as well. So he's maintaining himself pretty well. He might be back in the tower, or he might just be flying around right now. But gonna set up a fire.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Even though Capulet and Statix make their way back in, they had a very short window to pick up the elims that were necessary to keep them kind of healthy, potentially towards a position in first place, and they just didn't quite know it there. So as a result, they miss out on what could have been potentially a win here. Now it's just in between Illusions and them, seeing who can survive that little bit longer here. Obviously, we have to wonder and see if Illusions actually walks away with anything if they pick up this win or not.
Right, but I mean, again, there's a lot more resources in that building. There's a couple outside on the ground as well. No one picked up that Golden Prime shotgun, which is a little surprising to me. Oh, they're gonna be doing some fishing. I like it.
Oh, there you go. I was about to say there's multiple ways to sustain resources, but one of the best is just going for the quick, easy trades out in the lake here. A quick flopper or two. You know what they say? Teach a man to fish, and give a man a fish, and he survives storm. Teach a man to fish, and maybe he wins. I don't know.
Drew got that harpoon helping him out too, but it looks like Illusion's going to be making one last stand. Oh my gosh, springing into action with these builds. Drew finally with some open space to get around, and he's going to corral Illusion and pick up a second elim on the day. Drew and Sadix are going to be winning our final game here, and at this point, you got to wonder how well they might have fared if they showed up in the first map. But hey, they get their work done now, and they're going to be our third unique team to win a map.
Third unique team there, but I don't know if it was enough elims. Obviously, for our players, if you're watching, the best place you can check out those will be in the individual channels. As for both Laird and myself, we'll be back here on Esports U at 9 p.m. Eastern to represent the Western Heats of our Campus Cup. Up next, we've got the ECAC Overwatch Week 5, Fisher Varsity versus Ball State Black. Stay tuned.
Manage that frustration and how to like get it under control and actually channel it into something useful, because one of my goals is always to be like, I want to be like a calm and collected person when I play. I like, even though I'm an emotional person, I can be an emotional person because I'm passionate and I care a lot about it, but that's kind of where the meditation comes in, because it lets you kind of be more like at one with yourself and in your emotions and how you feel, and stuff like that, and also just kind of eases your mind a bit, and it can really help in those situations. Like if you practice meditation and then you're in game and you're playing, and there's a situation where it's like super high tense situation, it can kind of give yourself the advantage, because you might be a lot more calm than your opponent if you do practice stuff like meditation. And it just has a bunch of other benefits as well, because with something like Smash, I try to be like the best I can be in game and like out of game. I think there's a lot of factors that go into it, and I feel like if I improve everything that I can to the best of my ability, then it gives me like the highest chances to win, like in the game.
I know you speak about frustration and anger, but what about nerves? Like, do you get nervous?
Every now and then I definitely do get a little bit nervous. A lot of the things, like a lot of the my nerves I kind of quell at this point, because I've been playing for like so long, where it's like if I go to a tournament, and I sit down, it's just like it's just me in the game, like it's just me in the match, and that's the goal, and it's just trying to learn and just play what's in front of me, you know. But sometimes it does. There are a little bit of nerves, like for example in Vegas, because I'm not very often playing on like big stages. Sometimes it's smaller tournaments, and at Vegas it was a bigger stage and there was a lot more people watching, so it was a bit more of a unique situation that I wasn't always in, and there was a little bit of nerves there, although it was a bit under control. But um, I think I definitely have the nerves mostly under control. And if there's a new situation like the stage one, I feel like just having more experience with that kind of stuff kind of help quells it. And also it's just because there's also other methods too, like telling yourself like, uh, like self-affirming stuff, I'm this is what I do. I'm just gonna go up there and play the game and do my best. And telling yourself that kind of stuff helps with nerves a lot too. So.
As a coach, do you tell those things to the people that you're coaching as well when they're nervous?
Yeah, I try a lot to practice what I preach, and I do in my coaching. There's a lot of mentality coaching too, because uh, I feel like on a lot of I feel like it's a really interesting part of the game and just a part of life too. And I feel like it's not something people focus on a lot with coaching. I feel like a lot of coaching, they're focusing on technical aspects, in-game aspects. Like what can you do in this situation that can be better. But sometimes like mentality comes first, and they're not going to be able to make those steps and make those leaps without like making a change in their mentality first, or at least trying to make an improvement somewhere there. And there's a lot of different like perspectives for it, but yeah.
I really admire your mindset. That's really cool. A lot of the
Thank
gamers
you.
that I've talked to are like aggressive. It's
Thank you.
really cool to hear that. Switching gears a little bit, how do you feel about the CECC? What do you think about it? And do you think your team will go to Atlanta?
So far, I think it's been good. It's been fun, and I do think there's a very high chance we would go to Atlanta. With my mentality, like I was talking about before, sometimes I just go into it and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do my best and I'm gonna play, and that's really what comes down to it. But I am really confident in our team's ability. I think we have a really good set of guys that put a lot of work into it. So I'm very confident that we would likely go to Atlanta. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Then I just go from there.
Well, those are all the questions I had. So, is there anything else that you want the world to know about you or anything that you would like to end with?
I don't know, for anyone watching, like just try to find like a balance like in life, and try to find like who you are truly, and like follow that passion. Because just for like reference, I worked somewhere for 3 years, and then I felt like I wasn't being called to work there anymore, and like Smash was something I always cared about and always wanted to do. So I quit work, and with the money I had saved up, I pursued Smash for like a year and a half, and like that phase just kind of ended. And I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all. Like I wasn't like making a lot of money through it, but it was something I was passionate about, something I wanted to do, and I'm really glad that I did it. And I hope that other people can consider like following their passions like that, but also with proceeding like with caution, doing what is available to them, and just finding like who they are and what makes them happy, I guess.
Thank you so much again for your time and doing this interview with me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Is that we don't have these preconceived notions, and we're willing to listen to our membership and read the room, read college athletics and how it's connected and how it's not, and take what we have expertise in championships, but also throw out some of the other stuff. I remember when we first started, there were some conferences were applying their amateurism rules to all of their esports competitors, and I think we knew enough to know that no, that's not going to work in an esports culture. It's got to be very different.
What better way to spend your Wednesday night than with some ECAC Overwatch 2? I'll tell you how, with these two teams that are about to be playing. Fisher versus Ball State Black. I'm Sam Talks, and joined here with me is Catinator. Cat, we're down for some incredible games tonight, I do believe.
Yeah, that we are. Fisher College coming hot off a land victory in the Collegiate Esports Commissioner's Cup. Went down to New Jersey, took it all home, and man, did that team just keep winning trophies. 3 out of the 4 trophies and game titles at that event they took home, and they're looking to take home a win today.
Dang, listen, if that's confidence going into tonight's game, I'm going to tell you right now, nothing is going to be able to knock them off that high horse, and it's going to be a strong matchup here for both of these teams tonight. And I'm excited to see how this is going to go out. And so, starting off, we can talk a little bit about how the maps are going to work as well. Kat, we're going to be starting off on Nepal, then going into Hollywood, Watchpoint, Gibraltar, Coliseum, and if we need to, Busan with a tiebreaker of Ilios. So we have everything set up. We have our teams knowing where they're going to go. But with Nepal being the starter map, control map, it's always that great sort of barometer. Let's figure out how we go against each other. Let's figure out how we play against each other. We can, you can poke and prod and figure out what each team's weaknesses are, especially in these sort of like weird half metas that we're in right now.
Yeah, it's very strange. I'll tell you, on land this weekend, we saw a lot of Banana Rush teams, I think, just wanting to get used to what's going to be that Overwatch League, that Genji nerf on its way. At the start of the event, day number 1, there's a lot of Zarya in the mix, players still trying to make it work, Genji scenarios, and I just think it fell short. When you look at the Winston, the Reaper combination, it just had so much success. When you've got a Monkey who's really able to get on top of those healers, get on top of the supports, and a Reaper who can play off the bubble, it looks very good. And even that old school meta without the Genji nerf, Sam, just doesn't look like it can keep up.
No, it can't, because that's the power of what you're able to bring along with a Reaper and a Winston. Winston to get in their faces, and the Reaper to, if the tank is feeling bold, wants to go into the back line, that's what you're there for. You have the Bruiser to keep the team safe and keep them alive. And then we got to talk too about what Kiriko, the new hero that's been like shaking things up massively. The protection Suzu is so powerful, but it's her ultimate where things really get exciting. That Kitsune Rush, that's where Reaper becomes incredibly scary. You go from you go from a decent fire rate to like, oh my god, it's a machine gun shotgun.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking like Bastion in tank form when Reaper steps in the Kiriko Rush. It's absolutely ridiculous, and we've seen it turn fights so consistently, so we'll definitely get to see it today. I will say Fisher College, Nev, their Reaper not in the matchup tonight. Looks like he fell off the bus on the way home from the LAN event, so you hate to see it. We'll see how that shakes up. But that roster runs deep, and they've got plenty of squeeze to throw in the top collegiate talent, so I'm not too worried about them.
Yeah, and I reached out, I asked the teams how they were feeling about the games going into tonight, and unsurprisingly, they all said, we're ready to get some dubs. This is going to be so easy. We're snoozing here. This is going to be an easy battle for the both of us. But look at this.
I lied. He's here.
Oh, he's here. We're ready. This is going to be good. Composition-wise, though, Kat, I mean, Fisher feeling bold to bring out the Genji. Whether that's going to be swapped relatively quickly is going to be the question.
Yeah, so Fisher was the one team that was really willing to step into alternate compositions. More so, though, on their escort maps, looking to finish checkpoints. They're willing to switch up, try things off meta, make things look different. So if it's a team to do it, I would expect it to be them. But we'll see how it holds up on Ball State as we get into it.
Oh, and getting into it, we already are. Ninja Curly Fry is going to be playing on the Sojourn, and we know the power of what Sojourn is able to bring into the table. And you can see just how aggressive already Fisher is. Diving straight into the back line is just going to be destruction at its finest. As Nev gets a kill on top of that, too, with the help of Goose, is one after another. As Fisher is pushing Ball State Black to their spawn room. Point has unlocked, and it's going to be going to Fisher.
Oh, that fight on the high ground won so swiftly by Fisher. They'll have all this space to work with, and as mentioned, point on lock, and they'll be the first to capture here. Already Ball State to come here, back on this low ground, back on this basic checkpoint to try to step back into things. That look from Ned, that Winston to get all this space. If they want to work around this corner, it's not going to be an easy task by any means. They start to try to push their way into this one. It's Depresso, the soldier, to find absolutely everything. A 3K going to be had. Depresso not done just yet. Looking to find the Kiriko, and will have it as well.
An insane play from Fisher. Was literally just relying on raw mechanical aim cat from Despresso. You pull back, you take away what Reaper is able to do. You give that range. And so that way Reaper can't really do anything. Once you take that away from them, it becomes so much harder to get value out of that. And then on the flip side, you have Despresso, who is hitting shots time after time. They've already built their way up to their ultimate.
Yeah, Overclock's online after what was fight number 1, and it's online here for fight number 2. Kiriko's out of this one. You got no Suzu. You've got all this damage on its way, and look at these players melt. Fisher will push it up to 50%, and they'll push this team completely out of the fight. Ball State wiped yet again.
It seems Fisher's not messing around. You know, they got all these trophies in their pocket, Cat, and they're ready to show why they have gotten all of these trophies, and they're ready to look for another one to add to the cabinet. And so now we just have Neb doing a little poking and prodding before going straight into the backline. They can do this, though, because they have the Primal Rage. If things start getting dicey, they can just rely on that. Keller has whipped out the Dragon Blade, but in doing so, Rimax is going to use the beat in order to keep themselves alive. And so Keller's Dragon Blade not going to be able to do much there, but you don't really need it to because they got such a high value ultimate with the beat. Now Zhang, Overclock, and the Kitsune Rush. Ninja Curly! Look at these shots. It's like playing Kovacs right now. They're going to try and hunt down this annoying Depresso and showing that they are the better Sojourn. Finally, for Ball State Black, they are able to flip the point over, but 84% on the board for Fisher before giving it up.
84% on the board. All counts are going to be pretty much even to this one. It was that rush. It was the overclock that go into that one. Of course, the beat as well to get Ball State safely into the point. They've been able to flip it now. They're going to start scoring. If Ninja Curly Fry can take it to Depresso like this, they can start to turn this back the other direction. Another fight of brewing.
So it's going to be a lot on what Cashless is going to be able to do with this Death Blossom. How are they going to engage in and make this Death Blossom sing? They're going to go ahead, go right in there, and a double kill from that one Death Blossom. 2 high-value targets as well, and now you're bullying Depresso in the corner. They're going to be able to rocket slide away and somehow come up with a double kill. No way that they're going to be able to get away with this, and now they're trying to hunt down Ninja Curly Fry. Comes out of the disruptor shot, and it's going to be Depresso saving the day right now. Finally, for me, in the middle of their Primal Rage, they come back around, dealing a lot of damage and saving the day for Ball State Black.
Bro, Depresso with a Houdini of Overwatch. In the corner, manages to sneak out, grabs the 3K for their troubles as well. Me finally taken out here, staggered pretty early. It's just the Reaper that's going to be sitting on this point. You got to hold and stall for some time here. There is a bit of help now to come on his way. Both healers going to be online to make this one just a little bit easier. Still waiting for me to get a spawn. I'll have a switch in the meantime, and the point will flip as well. So Fisher will take this one back in the direction. They'll be scoring yet again, and Goose, yeah, talk about that 2K.
This is the power of what Kiriko is, what I was saying. If you can land her headshot, she hurts so much. And this is a desperation ball for Me98 to try and stall out. We're brought into overtime now, as they are trying desperately to make sure that they can stay alive for their team. Swinging around wherever they can go, trying to survive for as long as they can. Ninja Curly Fry is able to get a kill onto Keller, but it's not going to be enough. Fisher gets round 1.
Fisher is here to play on Nepal. It'll be 1-0 in their favor. And while both these teams are 4-0, Fisher are just looking so dominant to start it out early. The tempo set immediately in fight number 1 with what was that 4K from the Sojourn of Depresso.
Depresso, I'm saying it right now. That is some clean Sojourn plays. This is Sojourn at her finest, and what this hero is able to bring to the table. Those instant pick potentials from the railgun. You cannot discount a Sojourn, and that's why you had to put so much pressure on them. The quicker you get rid of Sojourn, the safer your team is going to be massively. And so for Ball State, is keep an eye on Depresso. Put Me98 on them. You deny them as much opportunity to be able to use that Sojourn as you can.
Yeah, you got to close out here, and we'll see if they have that adjustment going into this one. Steven, yet again, as we look for fight number one.
Goose, what is
hit
this?
clean shurikens to take that one early. It's going to be Caselet that's going to fall. Depresso looking for opportunities here. Sneak all the way towards his back. Line to start to melt the opposing soldier, and Mee's falling away from this one. The Winston's gone. Nev's going to find value as well, and everybody gets involved for Fisher to take for the first fight yet again.
And this is also interesting as well because Keller has switched off of the Genji to the Reaper. And so now, because of the aggressiveness that Fisher likes to play, they go right into the face of Ball State Black. That's one of the reasons why you have the Lucio as well, is to be able to get in there quick, do your damage as Reaper, then get out and back away. And so to be able to apply that kind of pressure, Ball State Black is just floundering right now.
Look for a flank here. He's going to be the first player to touch. He's going to sneak in that Reaper for early damage on the close range. Hasn't found enough to melt just yet, but is able to melt that shield. That's them melting players back in the other direction on this Winston. Looking to find this Kiriko next, and will have just that point activated yet again. Looking to stagger the Sojourn now as well.
I like where the attempt was there from Ball State Black to go around, take it from the high ground, and see if they can get in and surprise Fisher. Try something different, try something a little bit new, but it's just Fisher who is holding so closely and so cleanly on the point. They reposition themselves so accurately to rebuke the efforts of Ball State. Now we're having a little party in the corner, Cat.
Any homies?
Oh, wait. Zangbeast. I bet they didn't expect to find everyone literally up here. And now it's going to be a duel in the high ground. As B98 was trapped, wasn't able to go anywhere. Down they go. And now it's just going to be Neb to dive right on top of Zangbeast. Thankfully for them, they're able to teleport away, regroup with the rest of the team. But now you're being bullied back towards your spawn room. And where in the last round, it looked like Ball State had some foothold, some notion of being what you can do. It's not happening here. And there you have it, the Kitsune Rush. You see, White Reaper is scary there. No way, Keller.
Don't do this to them, Keller. They see, they know. They'll try to take down Keller here, and he will be able to dismiss away from that one. All these ults still gonna be in line for Fisher. That's pushed this team so far to the back of this spawn line. Primal range out first. Just looking to kill extra time here. And this one, Death Blossom as well. Hasn't hit the mark, but it has called for extra time. Just 10% left onto this one. Depresso gonna pop the ultimate now as well. Beats has been dropped, and nothing to be done for Ball State. Kiriko will be immune for just moments longer before being completely overwhelmed. The Reaper gonna fall as well. Just one player to touch the point with 1%. The difference here between Fisher and map number one.
Overtime, that's all it is. Me98 is back on the field, but with no Primal Rage, it's only a matter of time before they go down. And that's how it's happening here, as Ball State Black cannot stand up to what Fisher is bringing here on Nepal.
A legitimate brick wall. If you look up brick wall in the dictionary, Fisher College's logo is front and center. The way they just manhandled the point, bulldozing their way in by the likes of no one other than Depresso.
This is unsurprising, and it's going to be this play of the game right here. Depresso with that 4K that we saw earlier. Look at how clean this is. They just on the ball. I couldn't believe it. That is disgusting. And a fantastic job from Fisher to be able to take that first win here on Nepal. But of course, we still have a long night left to go. 2 more games possibly before we get into what could be the winning the winning match. But yeah, I mean, Hollywood is going to be the next one. So it's that hybrid matchup. Yep. Things could be a little bit different here. We probably going to still be seeing the same composition of that Banana Rush, but still. For BSU, I think the biggest goal is try to deny as much of Depresso being able to land those crazy shots as they possibly can.
Yeah, so the question is, Sam, how does this team deny the Sojourn opportunity? We see me try to dive in, to try to get on top of that Sojourn, to contain the action at the very least. It leads to me getting absolutely flabbergasted by what is 3 players sitting on top of that high ground. Angle pinched in, gone pretty early, and that makes that push so very difficult without your tank, and especially without being able to jump on that Sojourn. So Sam talks, why don't you throw the coach's cap on for a moment? What does this team do to deny Depresso opportunity?
It's going to be difficult because of just how well Fisher is playing right now. First of all, you have 2 insane DPS. You have a tank who's jumping everywhere, putting the pressure exactly where it needs to be. And then on top of that, you have a Kiriko who is landing just as many kills as your DPS. And so for BSU going into this, it's going to be that target acquisition. You had to apply just as much pressure as Fisher is applying to you. And so I think a lot of it is going to come down to being able to land those shots as Sojourn, getting a little bit more value out of what she's able to bring to the table, because for what the advice I'm giving to BSU, Fisher is doing the exact same thing time and time again. Right. And so yeah, it's just I think working together more as a cohesive unit and trying to find those necessary picks, especially either onto Sojourn or get rid of the monkey as quick as you can.
Sure. I think that is one of the roughest parts of Banana Rush being so good right now, is that it does create this mirror match scenario where you just have to play the game better. I mean, it's that simple. And Fisher College have been a team that just plays the game better. We saw them on land absolutely take it to Harrisburg, what was a 3-1 grand final. They're insane at what they do, and they picked up this competition so very quickly, which you got to give credit to the colleges that have. It's definitely been work to move away from what was Zarya Genji and now move into this Banana Rush and make that happen so quickly before they even actually get the patch on their plates. But to be able to eat their supper before it arrives is quite impressive.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's going to be this team coordination that's going to be so important to take down the juggernaut that is Fisher. You need to have that coordination, and you have to have the confidence to go along with it too, because when you dive into the back line like that, you can get it can be really scary, especially if you're afraid that you might not be able to come out on the other side. But if you can get that pick, if you can get that Sojourn off the field, if you can get Depresso gone. We saw it happen in the Overwatch League this past weekend in the grand finals. Proper, insane Sojourn. But Essen was standing up to them and was able to push them back. Once you got Proper off the field, once you got Sojourn gone, a lot of that pick potential goes along with it. And so you got to have that focus. You really do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fisher College currently putting the fish in their names. They got a bit of a water leak in the room, so it'll be just a moment here for us. When we come back, we got map number 2.
Dynamic area and ever changing, and will continue to change. And just as we didn't know when we started what it's going to be looking like, I think similarly, we still don't know what it's going to be in another 5 years. I know enough to know that all of us are still going to have a thriving esports program that's doing a real good service for our members and for our competitors. But we still don't know necessarily what some of that is going to look like, and that's pretty cool about it all. Let me ask you this, because you all are used to dealing with your athletic directors. And each of them are dealing with what's in front of them in their athletic departments. My guess is at least some of your schools are that this is not necessarily operating within the athletic department. And can you talk about how you navigate that in a conference office? And maybe the best way to handle that, or do you have preferences? Do you try to steer them one way or the other? And just talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Sure. The majority of our schools are not under the athletics umbrella. We have one institution that perhaps by next year will be under the auspices of athletics, but most of them are in other departments across campus. One of the things that has helped us is that we have support from the president's office. And so in order to participate in Mountain West events, you have to have an adult non-student administrator that oversees that, the eSport program. And that's where we get assistance with, eligibility checks and, what, please complete your roster, things like that. I don't know in the future, and it depends on, who's sitting in the athletics director's chairs, whether or not more esport teams will go under the umbrella of athletics. And I'm kind of indifferent in terms of whether it should, because I don't want esports to go down the road that some conventional sports have gone down with the NCAA. So we have a unique opportunity to kind of craft esports in a way that fits what esports is, as opposed to trying to fit it into a conventional athletics box, so to speak.
Right.
I think the success of our program and getting participation is exactly that. The fact that we're not tying it in necessarily to athletics and NCAA eligibility. Like Carolyn, we probably have 3 or 4 schools that are under athletics. And I know it puts them in a difficult position sometimes trying to make some decisions. I got a request recently to consider allowing part-time students to participate in during this year, because some schools struggle sometimes to fill out all the games that they want to play with us. And we held off on that for now. We're trying. We defer to the institution and say, what's your policy for those that are under student development or activities? What's your policy for allowing students to participate? And if you certify that they're eligible under your current policies, then that's good for us. I also think, and I was part of some of the conversations early on with the NCAA years ago about the NCAA getting involved as a Division II representative, and I was crossing my fingers that wouldn't happen, just because I think this needs time to grow, and expand.
Can I ask Bob a question, because you mentioned part-time enrollment, and one of the things that we've done here is that as a conference, we've just set eligibility standards, full-time enrollment, making progress towards your degree as the institution defines it. Are you guys doing something like that as well? Because we've gotten that part-time enrollment question and we've said no.
Yeah, no, I don't think we've gotten that far down the line, Carolyn, to ask for that. I think we kind of put it on the institution, but we do say that the student has to be a full-time. Now, they could be a full-time grad student, but they have to be full-time as from what the institution decides.
Yeah, our eligibility requirements are just as simple as can be. You have to be a full-time student in good standing.
Yes.
And after that, and that's about it. Now I think we wanted as few impediments to getting this thing rolling as possible in the outset. I do think as schools get more competitive, they will start to distrust one another, and that's why we have this 500-page NCAA manual, because schools distrust one another. But we're not there yet. Right now there's still a collective. Let's move this forward, and the fact that the NCAA is not administering it, I think, is really helpful to the growth of it all. And yes, we allow grad students. We don't even have a 4 or 5 year clock. If you are full-time enrolled for 10 years in good standing, you can do. And why not? Why would we not say that that's okay? Now, eventually, like I said, we may change our minds if the schools require it. They say, no, this is crazy. Look what they're doing over there. We don't like, but I think we're still a long way from that. Alex, do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything that really Carolyn has said. You're gonna have to forgive me. What was the original question? It's been a minute. I know. I'm sorry.
Well, just kind of what you set out to do, and then what maybe the realities of it all.
And there's so many other jobs as well that can translate out of this experience in esports. The only path is not just as a player. I think all of us are representative of jobs in esports, but it mirrors traditional sports in pretty much the same way. You've got, broadcasters, you've got production people, you've got marketing and sales, and now NIL and things like that. But really, esports is kind of a great accelerator for a lot of new businesses that are coming up in the metaverse and Web3, and there's a lot of new technology that is going to be needed. And so these STEM students that are also esports athletes are really the future workforce and leaders of tomorrow. And us, as well as all of our brand partners that we work with, really recognize this. And I think that's really, a key driver of why brands are in this space. They want to be part of building that future workforce and leadership and shaping it and supporting it. So, yeah, it's been a very interesting space to watch.
And we offer such a big, we offer such a big counterpart to traditional sports also, because it's a counterpart, but it's also the same, is what I'm trying to say. Because when you're traditional sports and they're done after their 2-a-day workout and they're done after their practice scrim, they're coming home to play Call of Duty and relax and put their feet up and get a drink and play video games. It grows their brain, problem-solving skills, and their hand-eye coordination while they're home. Hand-eye coordination, if you're a football player, massive skill. So it helps build those things while they're off the field. And then for us, vice versa, if you're an esports athlete, one of the errors I had growing up when I was competing in esports is that I was not active enough. I played sports, I competed a little bit, but I wasn't active enough truly when I look at it. So that's one area that esports players can learn from in terms of activity and physical and the marrying of both. People say, oh, sports and esports, video games. Not really. We're just kind of the tech industry's competitive form of competition, as to where traditional sports are more physical, hands-on. So I believe in the marrying of these two sectors and that they actually live together while also being counterparts.
Well, I think then to speak to something about marrying, right, from traditional to esports, that to me speaks to this whole new thing. At least, again, from you guys, right? You guys have more traditional sports background, right? Paul, Lee, Mike, and all of that. But I think let's talk NIL then, because I think that's something that I think is really interesting. That at least when I heard about it, right, of what we're trying to do with, esports athletes, schools, programs in general. Because it wasn't something you would think normally, right? You could understand, right? Football player on the field, star quarterback. It makes sense, right? The guy is somebody that everybody knows on campus, whether you're on the team, off the team, or you're just going to the school. It makes sense. But I think, nowadays it's not as common, or people don't think that they could be somebody that their name is out there, right? Or that they're known, right? As we're growing the space, as we're putting this together, it almost feels really interesting that, your star entry in Valorant, or your star forward on Rocket League, right? Whatever the case might be, now they can have NIL deals. It's a thing out there, and I think, I don't know, maybe Mike, you want to start off, but
I think thank you for teeing that up. So I was talking for too long. I forgot to bring NIL into the mix. So it's a common occurrence, occupational hazard. So I would say that so NIL for I'm sure most of you watching understand what it is, but NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. Name, image, and likeness, that term has been utilized to describe the transition of traditional student athletes, NCAA athletes, and their ability to monetize their name, image, and likeness. It went live July 1st, 2021, and it has continued over the course of the last nearly 14 months now. It's an interesting term because it's been co-opted to describe the NCAA's approach to student athletes being able to make endorsement money or be able to monetize any part of their name, image, and likeness. But it's been around forever, right? We've had athletes endorsing brands for over 100 years. Babe Ruth of the New York Yankees was endorsing brands 100 years ago, and it has continued onward from baseball cards all the way through now, where we have lots of different integrations of how influencers can monetize their followings. So what I would say on the traditional side is it's still a very young space. There are a lot of stories out there regarding NIL that tend to focus on the negative, or how out of control, I put in air quotes, it has gotten. But there is still a burgeoning marketplace for many more student athletes that are involved. About 17% of NCAA athletes are currently involved in NIL, but 65% more than that want to get involved and are curious how to get started. On the flip side, brands are challenged with a few different things in the space. There are 10,000 professional athletes in the United States. Once July 1st, 2021 hit, and you dump every NCAA athlete into that space, that's another 500,000. So brands that maybe didn't have a dedicated athlete strategy when there were 10,000 now have 500,000 plus that 10,000 to figure out how to activate who they are. That's a lot. I understand brands' hesitancy in some instances, but I can tell you that companies like us are on a daily basis educating brands and student athletes as to the software you can use, the types of activations you can get involved in, and how to utilize your followings, or if you don't have to or want to be a social media star, other ways in which you can monetize it. Now, I know I described that under the umbrella of the NCAA, but I see it as being no different in esports. I think there are massive opportunities for people with followings to be able to use that and connect with brands. I think a company like us can help you to do that. And then beyond that, we can make sure that those transactions are safe for you. I think there are opportunities, not just at the individual competitor level, but at the program level, to have a sponsorship go to that. I'm sure some of you out there listening and watching already have deals like that in place, but I think we can continue to enhance, augment those deals and make them more comprehensive and make them, first of all, I think product deals are perfectly fine.
We've managed to stop the rains down for Fisher, and now we are about to go into our next map of Hollywood, where Fisher is currently sitting 1-0 against BSU. And so I think for upcoming here for Hollywood, Hollywood is this fun hybrid map that has I think this is where Zarya is going to have the better matchup, the better composition. And I think we probably might see Banana Rush, but I think Zarya will have more to work with here. Kat.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. At least for the defensive end of things, I think.
Yeah,
Winston has so much value getting to backline quickly. I mean, I think Fisher proved that one pretty quickly on mount number 1. So at least for their attacking side, I think it has that value. But yeah, Zarya on the defense, I think looks stronger. Also allows you to play farther into those sidelines. There's so many very long sidelines on this map, and Zarya Bubble allows your DPS to actually get involved to make flanks possible. So I think you have a very good point there. I'm hoping your point stands up as well, because I do, I'd love to see some off the cuff picks. So I do like to see players get to have a little bit of fun and not have to conform as much. So I hope that you are correct.
I hope I am too. It's always fun to see when players break the mold and go their own way, and that's what makes Overwatch so much fun, is to have that potential to see, okay, maybe this actually will work. I mean, Keller kind of showed off a little bit with the Genji pick on round 1 of Nepal, so maybe, could possibly. There we are. We're seeing we're seeing some shakeups. We have a Tracer, we have a Widowmaker.
Yeah, this is my favorite for the start of the game. I'm sure it'll be short-lived, but I do love this angle, and I think it's something players have just started to realize, the fact that the spawn room on the attack isn't that far. And you're welcome to swap before you die. So I love the look of, since this long sightline does exist and players do like to peek out quite a bit, jumping out with a sniper early, getting a look, and then switching. That switch will already come through. So unlucky, really. You hate to see it. It'll be the full rush of none other than Nanners for Ball State. And Fisher going to give us that Genji again. I think it was very good for the first point fight that we got onto Nepal. That Genji in the backline, that Sojourn in the front just allowed Depresso so many opportunities. That's what I'm going to look for here on this first fight.
Absolutely, and already right out of the gates, Fisher is looking to go and engage as quick as they can. Neb not feeling any fear whatsoever. But now they're going to feel it with Ninja Curly Fry, showing them the business end of that railgun. Keller's going to try and go up, build up towards their Dragonblade, do as much damage as they can before hitting back. But hey, with an opening like that from Depresso, what could have been a rough situation might actually be stabilizing out for Fisher here in their attempt to be able to retake this point. I mean, Neb is going to come back quick, and with the Reaper down now, that's Neb's fear, primary cause of concern, completely taken away. And now they literally get to just walk inside of this point and start laying down the law as best they can. Mikan and Primax, both Lucios taken out of the field. And so now for Me98, they're trying to figure out where they want to go. And it's going to be right on top of Goose as they get a double kill. It's still back and forth, but Fisher is still applying so much pressure onto Ball State. They really haven't quite figured it out yet. Me98 is holding on for dear life. And now they're going to rotate their position back over, trying to take out Keller as quick as they can. But it's now going to be happening with Neb saving the day and Fisher being able to take point A.
A solid solve from Me98. Killed just a bit of time. Good target prioritization as well to get early out Depresso and then look for opportunity. But at the end of the day, that spawn point just so much closer for Fisher. They're able to walk it on back, and Neb, the tank, getting back involved, finishes the job. Curly Fry got to be careful here as the players to step up, but the rest of the posse on top of this rooftop will be enough to force Keller away from the angle. So they'll post up on the rooftop, look for opportunities here as Fisher going to take all this extra space. Neb cementing them in early, taking these players far off the choke.
And here's the insane thing too, Neb already has their ultimate. Keller does too. And they've gone ahead. Let's go ahead and pop this bad boy. We'll get a double kill for these efforts before finally being taken down. But the damage has already been done by Fisher. And so now it's just looking to see who is low. Where's the opportunities to be able to take another kill? Depresso is gonna find one onto Zane Beast. And look at this pursuit, as hot as it can be. And Ninja Curly Fry is in the wrong place, the wrong time. And Goose is gonna be showing how dangerous Kiriko can be.
That was so good looking for Fisher. You talk about the fact that damage gets done with that Dragon Blade and who the damage is on as well. It goes down to the Lucio, the healer. It goes to the Reaper as well. It gives them so much space to work off of, and they're going to work off that space. The bully this team, hold them into the corridor here and make things so scary before this spawn can flip, before the checkpoint is hit. A primal from Neb, just throwing them out, boxing them up. And with that,
yeah, that Kitsune
throw the
rush.
shield and chilling.
That Kitsune rush, you can see why it makes Kiriko the must-pick potential. That was a lot of damage that came out there, and Mikan is going to go ahead and use the beat to keep Neb alive, but it's not enough healing coming through to keep them around, and Ninja Curly Fry's Railgun is going to put them into the ground, and now they're going to pop their overclock. Let's see if the heads are going to be true. That was a really good protection Suzu from Goose, but there's only so much of protection Suzu is going to be able to do when it wears away. And finally for Ball State, a chance to breathe, Cat, as they finally managed to push off Fisher.
Oh, they can barely avoid getting stalled. Ball State will pop so many ultimates to pick that one up, though. Takes their primal, takes their overclock. It takes their Kitsune rush. They still, at the very least, are going to have a death blossom to work with, a beat as well for this additional push from Fisher. But it does put them back on these timers, so they have to be patient with this one. They've got to be careful about when they jump in opportunities. Speaking of jumping in, Neb, once again, will head to the payload, looking to give his team free entry back towards the damage.
This is the opportunity that Cashless is looking for to be able to use this Death Blossom. There's no beat, nothing to protect Fisher if Cashless decides to go in other than their own raw skill and potential to be able to land headshots on their face like Depresso is doing right now. And there we go, we have the cue to go in and get a double kill onto Goose and Keller. Rotating around, seeing if there's anybody left to take, and it's gonna be Neb, but Neb more than likely should be able to jump out of there, but with the way that they're positioning, not gonna go too far.
That's a really clean Death Blossom, really clean timing off of it to find Keller early onto the point, and then to catch Goose, who's trapped alone into that jail cell, not able to get away. So good look there. A stall for extra time for Ball State. This is hold to be strong. Fisher getting close to what is these ultimates back on the board.
And once Fisher gets those ultimates, we know what they're capable of with using them, Cat. And it's going to be scary, especially with how close Keller is to their Dragon Blade. The question is it going to be as explosive as it was last time? It has a possibility to, but with Primax holding on to that beat, it's going to negate a lot of what's going to happen here. So Fisher's going to look for the opportunity to be able to draw that out. As Mikan is going to go ahead and use it, and here we have Depresso popping their overclock as well on top of that. And there we have it. The Dragon Blade comes through. Cashless is going to be diced into the next century. Neb already right back over onto Ninja Curly Fry, getting their revenge, and Fisher is going to be able to take this payload to point B.
They are. He'll come out of the rage now and will fall to the hands of Lucio. What a look from Fisher there. Neb to split the team into twos, a Dragon Blade to go for the first, and the overclock to go for the other. So the ultimates are used quite well, and the rush now going to come out as well to try to push this team back early.
It was a brilliant idea from Fisher to use that Kitsune rush and just create as much space as they possibly can. Ninja Curly Fry just in the wrong place, out in the open like that. And for Neb, it's like a shark to it's just sharks in the water. You cannot let Fisher continue to keep getting away with that. For me, they're just chilling out on the payload.
Neb a shark in the water, and Ball State is bleeding. Depresso gonna find two more. Now the squad will sit on that payload. We'll put 3 on them, move it pretty dang quickly. Back to the upper angle. Will be Keller in first.
That's nasty.
Just off this space. Reaper can't play into it. They've got all this room to work with, all this control, and to push the payload accordingly.
Upper Ninja Curly Fry, they have their overclock up, and with Primax having their beat still, there's a lot of potential to be able to push Fisher back. How are they going to be able to use that? We're going to find out, but Neb taking the initiative. He's going to pop the Primal Rage, see if they're going to be able to find Ninja, but the beat is going to keep them safe as they are knocked back towards their team. Depresso, though, coming up clean with headshot after headshot. And as Ninja Curly pops their overclock, guess what? Nikon answers with a beat in kind, and now Depresso using their overclock. Unbelievable, too! They're looking for the third one, but Neb's going to take it from them, and it's going to be Mean 98 once again on the payload. It's a tale as old as time, though.
A tale as old as time. Fisher College winning the team fight and continuing the push for the payload. So send this one almost to what is the VIP parking space. Can they finish this one off? Ball State will get one more fight attempt. They win this one. They keep the stagger alive. They keep killing the time. Or will they touch it? All is the question. No one can step on.
No.
The Kiriko's so close, but it was waiting for the rush to be activated before the step, and it's costed them what could have been a stall.
That is really unfortunate for that to happen. it was like you said, they had so much opportunity, and if Ball was able to build up towards those ultimates, they could have used them, and the potential was there. At the very least, they could have stalled for more time because Fisher has 1 minute and 10 seconds on the clock. And so the opportunity slipping through their fingers. Ball State are going to begin their attack now, but for how Fisher's been playing, it's going to be an uphill battle for them to go all the way to where Fisher has made it, and with the time bank that they have as well on top of that.
We gotta give love to those ultimates, man. The beats coming out at just the right time for the Lucios. The Depresso having that overclock when those beats are said and done, to be able to shine, to be able to grab 2 picks and get his team into what is an astronomical advantage to push the payload into a position to score.
It really is. Fisher is having really good ult tracking, and so because of that, they know that Primax has their beat. Neb uses the Primal Rage. Less using the Primal Rage to engage in on the team and do damage, more to try and draw out Primax's beat, the sound barrier. And so when that happens, once the sound barrier is dropped, that's the go sign for Depresso. Pop the overclock and start popping some heads.
Well, the spawn walls head away, and we'll see if Ball State can pop themselves back into this one. Be me in early onto this choke point, but a much more aggressive hold from Fisher.
They're like already right in their face, trying to create as much chaos as they possibly can. And for Neb, they're not even scared of Cashless on this Reaper. It's just get in there and try and do as much damage, but that is perfect for me to jump onto Keller, who may have been a little bit too overconfident, a little bit too bold with where they've been sitting. And now the opportunity for Ball State to get on the point and to be able to take it is there. It's all about going into that back line and create as much chaos as you can. Maybe be able to take someone out, ignore Neb for the moment, and get a kill as quick as you can. We know the speed of Genji and how quick they can get back here. Look at that. Taken out at the very beginning, but Fisher playing the incredibly patient game to pull back, wait for Keller to get back, and then they get a kill. They're just going on a tear.
The Disruptor forced away, and yeah, Xavius will know, won't even try to stay alive. We'll get back to the team to try to regroup for this one. So high ground taken very early from Ball State Black, but it's Fisher just forcing the issue when it comes to the actual point and holding so very strong. Ball State looking to regroup now into this one. Everybody back out the spawn room, and they'll try to reset.
It's going to be tough when Zang Beast is taken out like that by Goose. And for me, 98 to be wanting to go in like that is going to be a dangerous factor no matter how you put it. Depresso has the 100 charge for the railgun. They're poking around, and that's going to be me to try and engage on that, but it's going to be so much more difficult for them to be able to. And this is the power of Sojourn, to be able to hold onto that railgun shot for so long and not even worry about it going away.
Right, 8 full seconds, you grab 1 point of damage, and guess what? The clock restarts, so you see Ball State recognize that to wait for that rail to be away, and now to take a step forward. Disruptor looking to stall in that bout. Wolf forcing the primal because so much time. Make sure this team can't step on forward. The Kiriko thrown into danger. Depresso gonna take full advantage. He finds the Winston. He has another. Neb finally able to finish out this healer. Will grab the Sojourn as well. Once again, this team gets wiped. Ball State having to restart from the spawn point yet again.
Fisher is just a bulwark right now, and to a lot of this is confidence in your team. Neb, not fearing what me was going to be able to do in the backline, decided to jump in ahead of them. Once again, fearless of the Reaper that could do so much damage to them and put them in the ground if they're not careful. Now, for me, they've gone ahead and used their own Primal Rage. They're going to start swinging fists, and Depresso is going to be their target. That's exactly who you want to get out as quickly as you can. Now you turn your attention to Keller, who's used the Dragon Blade, and now the sound barrier to keep them safe while they're going through it. But Ninja Curly Fry, using their overclock, is able to take down Meek, and in a second one onto Keller. Now we're going to turn our attention over onto Neb, and for Ball State Black, even though it was looking dicey, they held on to hope, they held on to strength together as a team, and they're going to be able to take point A. But Fisher, that was a really good defense from them regardless.
Yeah, they kill a lot of time. Get down to the final minute for this capture. Finally does look to turn its way over. Ball State's a good look to get into that one. I mean, you mentioned the fact that they're able to take down what is not just the 2 DPS players, but them in their ultimates as well. They killed the overclock at Depresso, and they're able to take the Dragon Blade away from Keller before any frags can start to come through, allowing them to finally capture that point.
Yeah, it was a bigger win for Ball State than just being able to get the point. It was like you said, they were able to draw out the Dragon Blade, the overclock, and on top of that, they got the sound barrier. But now Depresso's back in form, getting headshots onto Zang Beast with the help of Makan too. On top of that, now Keller is gonna win out against the monkey. That's not something you see very often. And now Fisher gonna go ahead, set up shop on the payload.
That is cold. Absolutely cold.
Fisher losing their healer, losing their Kiriko. Now we have a quick technical pause. I think it's raining again. Listen,
I would
Fisher,
agree.
There's this thing called an umbrella. Okay, you just got to get one of those. You just gotta use it.
Yeah, at the very least, like throw a jacket over the rig.
Yeah.
Something.
Unfortunate technical pause there, though, but this gives us a chance to dissect what we've been seeing so far. And with how far Fisher is pushed up, this is an excellent opportunity for them to be able to, at the very least, lock down Ball State. The big thing that Ball State has in their pocket, though, is cashless with this Death Blossom. No beat from Fisher to be able to negate it. Really, the only thing that you can try is Neb being able to build up to their primal rage and being able to use that to knock back the Reaper and just tank all of that damage. We'll see how well that's going to work out for them.
They've been good about segmenting ultimates here this game, so I do feel pretty strongly about it. It's easy to kill a bit of time to lead to Neb's primal. His primals have had a decent amount of value. Not necessarily throwing ults away, but by keeping players at bay, most definitely. We've seen it numerous amounts of times, even here in this map, throwing that primal to force players down to the hallway in what was all the way back in that spawn number 2. Ball State trapped in the spawn room by a monkey who was very, very upset at the team for even trying to contest.
Yeah, and that just goes to show you what Neb is capable of on this monkey and why monkey is starting to shine now in this new meta. It's always the Winston being able to dive into the backline. This is kind of what Overwatch 2 is in general, with very few heroes being able to really stop them. Reaper, obviously, with the potential that they bring, but a lot of what Reaper requires as well is, first of all, the Kiriko to be able to enable them, along with the Lucio to give them that speed boost to get in their face. That's what what Reaper needs is to be able to get into their face. If you range out a Reaper, it is so easy to be able to prevent them from doing so much damage. I mean, we've seen it a lot throughout these games with cashless, how long it takes for them to build up to these ultimates.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta be able to get close and doing a good enough job of keeping that Reaper at bay. I mean, we talk about the fact that they're a shield break, they're a bruiser. I mean, 2 shotguns in your hand. You're not really expecting them to one-shot headshot like a Widowmaker scope. That is without a doubt. But we talk about ult tracking. I think it's interesting how well this team of Fisher College have been able to ult track because of how consistently they're staying alive, right? The only time to truly know for sure when an ultimate percentage is on the board is to be taken out by that player, and yet still always having an answer, having a counter. We saw it in that Lucio beat to finish out the point, to shut down, what is that, overclock? Just having the knowledge, having the omnipresent vision of when those ults are going to come down from the side of Ball State.
Yeah, it's ultimate tracking is something in Overwatch that is undeniably, without a doubt in my mind, one of the most important things that you can do. And if you as a team have a dedicated ult tracker, someone who is, all right, they've just used a beat. Now we're going to keep an eye on that. All right, they've just used Primal Rage. All right, now they've just used Death Blossom. And so now we can engage in on this. And you see that Fisher has that on lockdown because they have these ideas in their head. You can see the reason why they use that Primal Rage in the way that they did, especially on the final few meters of Hollywood when they were about to get into the VIP parking. It was because they knew that they wanted to draw out the beat so that way the overclock can be used and so that way it can get as maximum effect as possible. And then on top of that, you continue to do these little macro plays with being able to draw out ultimates is just insane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you appear to be strong enough threat that it requires ultimates to come out. You kill those timers and things start to look good for you. But we've killed the tech pause. We'll jump back into this one and Goose will be back online. Now software back activated. A Primal Rage going to be online for Neb here if they look to stall deep.
And you can see that Neb is fearful because they know that Cashless is up close and that Cashless has this Death Blossom. And so you want to play around that. You don't want to give them too much opportunity to be able to use that. And for Mekon, it's all about building up towards using the sound barrier as quickly as you possibly can. Neb feeling a lot more bold. And now here we do have the Kitsune Rush. Dive into the backline as quickly as possible and let Cashless be able to do what they do best. But they actually don't need to because they've taken up both healers for Fisher. No more sustainability, no one to keep them alive. And that is a big victory for Ball State that they can get to hold on to this Death Blossom.
Yeah, great IGL call there. As you can see, Cashless getting ready to pop it. The awareness that we've already got enough value here. We've got enough space. We don't need to pop it just yet. You'll stay alive and they'll keep this high ground opportunity. A little bit of pressure was there from Neb though, and it'll continue to be I know Cashless is still going to have this Death Blossom at hand. That has this Fisher side a bit nervous, you can tell.
Yeah, absolutely. But now with Mekon having their sound barrier up, and for Fisher as well to win out this team fight dry, not having to commit any ultimates in order to win that. Keller has their ultimate, Depresso has the overclock, and now where Fisher was kind of on the back foot, and I think Cashless holding on to that Death Blossom may cost them.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you hold it, you don't quite solidify the extra space, and I mean, it's not solid, so what has it done? It has eroded away, and now they're all the way back towards spawn. They look to go back towards this grouping. Cashless should be able to get out of this one. The help from the Kiriko going to be there as well, and that Suzu to get the rest of the team into a full 5. We've got a lot of ults to work with here, Sam. I see this one being a slugfest.
Oh, it is, absolutely. But with how far Fisher has decided to pull up, it's going to be dangerous for them. Now we have Ninja Curly Fry overclocking, but they're not going to be able to use it because Fisher has just gotten out of there. It's so painful. And now we have the Kitsune Rush from Fisher to re-engage. And so this is just the genius of this team, Cat. You deny them the ability to be able to use their ultimates, and then you just go right back in and bully them as you cycle these ultimates.
The bait and switch is so disrespectful. They all jump through. They force him into the spawn. They grab the overclock out. They all get out of dodge, and they bring the rush to re-engage to make sure they're winning out that first fight. There's still an opportunity for Ball State. They still got stuff to work with. They'll pull out the rush. They'll pull up the Death Blossom, but the beat is going to keep everybody alive here for Fisher. They've still got their rolls to work with, and there's just 10 seconds. Somebody from Ball State has to be able to get to this point, and things are looking dire. Held for so very long. They'll finally get the touch back. It'll be the Lucio in first. Keller to come through, looking for the contest to force this player away. An alternative sound barrier going to be popped from Ball State, trying to keep this one possible. The Winston to jump in deep to the back line. I'll take the Presso. That Dragon Blade now online, looking for so much value. The Primal Range as well.
This is looking good, but for Keller, they're finally being brought down. Neb has popped the Primal Rage. See if they can get as many people off of it as they can. We're looking for a nice, juicy target like Zang Beast, who's going to be isolated from the rest of the team. Now it's time to re-engage back in on point with the help of your Lucio. A lot more sustainability, and you're going to be able to stay alive through it. It's only me looking at the Abyss. And when the Abyss stares back, it's Fisher on their second win going into match point.
Sam! Can we just talk about the re-engage?
Fisher, so Ball State was looking really good, and it looked like they may have been able to push Fisher off of it and be able to hold on to the payload at least for a few seconds longer. But Fisher was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna pop Primal Rage, and then give time for the team to come back, even though they went down. Now we're good. It's insane. It really is.
This team smarter, better, more handsome, more trophies, more floods, but flooding shots in as well. So what are you gonna do?
You got to give yourself a handicap, right, Kat? So if by flooding your PCs, I guess that's the handicap, I suppose. I don't know.
Gotta be, but man, do they make it look good?
Yeah, they do.
Well, maybe flooding coincides with our next map just a little bit. There's a bit of water, there's a bit of shoreline to check out here in Watch Point Gibraltar.
Yeah, Watch Point Gibraltar, and like I said before, we are now on match point, but Watch Point Gibraltar is by far and away my favorite Overwatch map. I think it has so much potential. Yeah, well, first of all, it's a really fun map.
Are you just a beta player? Is that what?
Yeah, a little bit. It holds a special place in my heart. And also with the new daytime, it brings it into a whole new light, literally. And so for me, I just love the ways that Watch Point Gibraltar works. There's a lot of high ground potential that you can use, a lot of different angles that you can take to be able to rain down terror onto your enemy. And so I think for Fisher here, especially for Depresso, on the Sojourn, this is just going to be heaven for them to be able to take these pot shots and to be able to, there's so many escape avenues as well on Watch Point Gibraltar, and I'm so excited to see how this Sojourn is going to be played.
Yeah, I think Fisher pretty confidently win that look onto high ground for Hollywood as well, a bit onto Nepal. In the instances that we do get to see it on that control map. So I do think they do benefit from having those upper echelon map placements, elevations to play off of. You know who this map really belongs to, Sam Talks?
Who does it belong to?
Bastion. This is a Bastion map. Look, am I gold? Maybe, but
listen, brother, I'm right there with you.
And gold? Yeah, he is.
I'm right there with you, dude. Okay, listen. In my gold games, I know that if someone whips out a Bastion, my tank decides,
I'm winning.
it's time to jump on that Bastion.
Yup.
And then
and
the
guess who's
Bastion's
getting
like,
melted?
Yeah, exactly.
Yup.
Exactly.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So as
Weird
much fun
comps,
as
I'm gonna say. These comps are off meta.
Yeah,
Guaranteed
and, you know,
without the Bastion.
It would be so much fun to have a Bastion. It really would be. Fisher, you can see that Depresso is going to pick the Widowmaker, see if they can maybe get a cheeky little headshot. But Goose, there we go. Okay, I was concerned for Goose. I was afraid that they had to fish their PC out of the rainwaters.
And that would be the player to do it, eh?
Yeah, right. But for them now, we have the. Oh my God! Oh my God! Okay, all right. That's one way to open up a match with a shot like that. We're looking for another one.
It will ignore the grapple after. A shot absolutely dirty from Depresso. Man, makes his opponents feel such a way. You see Ball State, how immediate they play behind this cover because of this Widow finding value still at the top of the tower. Another DPS leaves what is the active playing field. We probably had another pause on the way as well.
There we go. Back to pause. Unfortunate as Goose did dip their PC back into the flood waters once again. I think Fisher, yeah, they're playing in I think they're just playing in a flood right now.
Unlucky, really. I will say though, ironically, even though they just paused for their second healer, look how much space they've already gotten.
Yeah, it's Depresso nailing these headshots one after another, and onto two targets like a Reaper and a Sojourn is definitely not what you want for your team. And for Fisher to not even have their Kiriko really playing and to still be able to maintain this momentum against Ball State just really goes to show you that Depresso on this Widowmaker, even though they're not playing a Sojourn, which is obviously the meta right now, is still a force to be reckoned with.
100%. And then you got to think about the fact that they do opt to switch off this Widow. They're still so deadly on the Sojourn. So Ball State gonna work the start of this game looking for a counter to the original Widow, and then you gotta look to counter an additional DPS if a switch does come through. Keller's been doing his thing on the Genji all series, so there's no worries in that regard for this team. You get to feel pretty comfortable as well, the fact that they're up 2-0 match point in this one.
Yeah, that's the great thing about how Fisher has been playing so far. It's that every single member of the team is enabling each other to be their absolute best. Neb, to get in the face of the opposition and to deny them the ability to be able to attack your backline, or just putting so much pressure that you have to go onto Neb. And then Keller on the Genji. It's just like, okay, you're doing Genji things. You're destroying everybody. You're creating chaos, and you're being that annoying fly that nobody can swat out of the air. And so now Goose is back in the field. And to talk about the supports, I mean, the supports are doing so much. Mekon, to bring them in there. And look at that. It's just so destructive. Finally, though, for Ball State, it's going to be me to get on top of Depresso and get rid of this annoying Widowmaker. But this is what I'm talking about. Mekon to protect their team and provide the peel to keep them alive. And now for me, it's going to be a desperate attempt to be able to get away with their life. And it is Keller to try and put as much pressure on them as they can. They're going to be able to stay alive for now.
Movement gap for me to get away from that one. Looked like he was at the trampoline park. Boy, he constantly changing elevations to stay alive. Ninja will stay alive just barely as well. Can't survive any longer than that. Depresso,
what are you doing, Depresso?
Will find two. And what a funny tag team looking at. Keller on the low end of things, getting in their face, forcing teams to play back, and Depresso taking the opportunity and hitting the shots. 3 strong in a row for the Widowmaker, and space taken for checkpoint 1.
Oh, make that another one. Make that a 4th, Cat.
Just give me the Depresso cam and never take me off. Oh my goodness, Depresso having a field day right now, running amok against them. Ninja Curly Fry gonna have to switch up, leave the Sojourn, will come to the Widow, and they're gonna try to take the Depresso in a one-on-one here on the Widow.
That is gonna be a tall order, no matter who you are. And now for Neb, look at this. We are on the 3rd point, but if we're still going through the 2nd right now. And this is just what Fisher is doing. They are playing with their food. Keller, an unfortunate casualty to me 98, and now for Ninja Curly Fry, they want to re-engage in and try to create as much pressure as they can, but with the loss of me, it is going to be so much more difficult for Ball State to be able to make that happen. And in an unfortunate turn of events, me had that Primal Rage available. Okay, Depresso. You're crazy. You're a mad lad. We know it. You're capable of popping heads one after another. They're looking for something to happen. Keller in the back line, and guess what they have? They have a Dragon Blade that's ready to be drawn if needed. But as of this moment, Cat, it is not needed. And so for Ball State Black, they're about to lose this little stretch of land to Fisher. They're still holding on, but now we have the Kitsune Rush, kind of just as a way to deny them space, deny them the opportunity to be able to get on. Me had no shields to keep themselves safe, so they had to dive in on the payload to try and stall it as much as they can, just weren't able to. And there you go, Depresso. Yeah, okay. We get it, we get it.
I mean, that play from Keller is so nice as well. That Lucio spawns back in, has all that space on what was that upper flank to make sure Lucio can't get back in, can't get the healing. And it's so scary to play a game when there's a Widowmaker that is absolutely annihilating, that is running through. You have to keep your heads down, keep your heads tucked, and it makes your movement feel just so restricted.
You know, Kat, we were talking about breaking the meta earlier, and now we have Me 98 on Doomfist.
Yeah, that's one for you.
That's it. That is the desperation pick of desperation picks is all that I have to say right now. As you can see, Me is not really having the best of times to be able to apply pressure, and really it's just to be able to get into the back line against Depresso. But Depresso on a Widowmaker is winning out here against all odds. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the rest of the team of Fisher is just creating chaos, causing havoc.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about how dominant Widow is, how much it can get into your head if they're consistently hitting shots of being dominant. Me 98's proof of it right there, and still will fall. So with a Reaper, possibly the Kiriko to come next, and Neb is going to be the one to shut that one down. The team will chase him down in the spawn room, and that infrastrike is going to be online. Recognize these players, long time coming before they find their way out of spawn, and Depresso just going to hold on the angle of Dragon Blade if it's needed, but these players can't even get through Neb right now. Primary's going to be there. They'll push their way forward. They'll be the Blossom, but now it's time for the Dragon Blade. It's found itself too. Looking for the third onto the Tracer, not quite yet, and it will be Mikin and Depresso to finish out these last two players to finish out the first round of the
Fisher wants to close out this game, Cat. That's all I gotta say. With the way that Depresso is playing on that Widowmaker. Widowmaker on Watchpoint Gibraltar is a really good pick. But she's only a really good pick if you're able to land the headshots. And that's kind of the whole crux of Widowmaker. And that's why Sojourn is a much better option. With Sojourn, you can apply pressure, and you still have the potential to be able to do one-shot headshots like Widowmaker can. But for Depresso, who is playing the Widowmaker, you forced off Ninja Curly Fry from the Sojourn to try and go in a 1v1, to try and duel them out on Widowmaker. And it's just they weren't able to stop Depresso.
Yeah, a lot of counters from Ball State broken out, and I do believe we have ourselves two more.
And this is going to be interesting from Ball State to use the Sombra. Sombra hasn't been as powerful as she has been, especially not at the beginning of Overwatch 2 when it first came out. She still has her usage, she still has utility, but with the way that Fisher is playing right now, this sort of disjointed, not disjointed, but they don't play too close together. And so a lot of what EMP is able to do is taken away. And that's why you see Ninja flirting with using the Widowmaker at the moment. More than likely going to try and get a lucky headshot because we know just what Depresso is able to do. Especially as Depresso is once again on the Widowmaker. So I don't know if it's going to be as good on defense for Fisher, but we're going to see here, especially with Ball State using the Genji 2 on top of this. So it seems like they want to go toe-to-toe in a straight mirror matchup against Fisher and see if they're going to be able to stand up to them. And for this moment, you're just going to give Depresso free reign to do whatever they want. But you don't need, but Fisher doesn't even need Depresso.
No. This is bold. That mirror match to try to come through. They'll now go to what are these initial counters? Me 98 having a field day, a hamster ball. Looking like a pet, straight up Petco that is actively lost in the city. Gonna come on this back line now. Trying to find that Widow spotted out and try to break him off of the high ground position. It's had value thus far. It's pushed Depresso down. Teaches his teammates to get involved. Okay, Lucio's gone but not forgotten. The Sombradak. Look at this bombardment, and it's all for one dude.
It's all for one dude, and they can't even kill them. Cat, that's the most important thing. Depresso is like that little mouse you just can't find, that you can't get a hold of. And they keep coming back time and time again. And even while they're under pressure, Cat, they don't need no stinking high ground. They're still gonna land headshots on you, Lucio.
Yeah, legitimately on the fall, no less. The rat in your wall, Depresso having an absolute field day, raining down terror on this team, just like the flood in the Fisher lab, just going absolutely manic and stuck to this fall line.
No, my gosh, Depresso.
2 more for the culture, and the point total has been pushed back to its original starting point.
Yeah, so this is like unbelievable to me. Is that wow? Depresso, please. Fisher, you guys gotta let Ball State have at least 1 meter on the board. They're sitting at 3.71 meters, but come on, gotta give them at least 5. Gotta make it that nice number. Depresso is just bullying them in spawn. Ball State has no answer. It's trying to get that Widowmaker out, but Fisher is peeling so cleanly. And then on top of that, you have Neb, who's just bullying the supports in their spawn. And so if things start going sideways, guess what? You pop Primal Rage, and now you push them back in there. And so for Primax, it's like, where do we go? What do we do here? That's the question actually in its entirety for Ball State. Depresso gets a kill with a Venom Mine onto Ninja. And so now it's just like the opportunities that you try to go and stand up to Fisher. Ball State is not able to find anything.
You know you might not, Sam Talks. You know the TikTok sound that's just a dude laughing? It's been on a couple different Overwatch memes. Most of them on flanking Sombra's dying. I see just a guy. That is, to me, is Nev and crew guarding spawn. Just evil laughs as they hold this team in the base.
All right, this is a good opportunity from Ball State, though, as they did hit 3 members of Fisher inside of the EMP. But in doing so, you didn't kill anybody, and now Killer is able to pop the Dragon Blade.
And lived.
Not in time, though, Primax, to be able to save your Kiriko Zang Beast before they feel the full fury of their Dragon Blade. Now we have a Genji v Sombra that Keller is going to win out on, especially with Ninja having the opportunity to be able to use that hack. The tracking just wasn't there. Keller too dicey on that Genji. And now we are under 30 seconds as Ball State's opportunity to be able to push this payload any further is slipping through their hands. Fisher has no more ultimates, but they've proven time and time again, Cat, that they do not need to have any ultimates to be able to put Ball State on the back foot. A sleep onto Mikan. That's a respectable sleep. And now we're having some interesting change-ups here. Switching over to the D.Va, and I think the D.Va is actually a really good choice for Ball State to be able to go up against Fisher. And it's about putting that pressure. There we go. We have an opening. We have a pick, but still not able to get Depresso down. And while you're bullying Depresso, they have responded. They've taken down Zang Beast. And so now a lot of healing has gone from there. There's only so much that Neb is going to, or Me98 is going to be able to do inside of this D.Va. And there you have it. Fisher, 3-0. And your watch point Gibraltar didn't even let Ball State take it halfway through the first point.
Play of the game.
Unsurprising.
Play the game in what I believe is all 3 maps that Fisher used to complete this sweep. And no one deserving of them more. Depresso, an absolute menace to the earth. A man you do not want to see in your games.
Yeah, if I see Depresso,
I'm out
in my game. Yeah, it's just sorry guys. We're gonna take the L here. I'm sorry. I mean, we're gonna lose anyway, so may as well just go ahead and call it here. An insane performance from all of Fisher, though, and I want to highlight too the dynamic between the Lucio and the Widowmaker. Anytime that Depresso was getting dived on, it was immediate peel to save them because they knew that if they enabled Depresso, we saw the results. It was just headshot after headshot after headshot. And it took the entirety of Ball State to get onto Depresso to try and kill them. And I don't think they were able to do it once in that attacking round.
No, literally, like D.Va switch, they all dive for Depresso. And what I think is the funniest thing of all is that as the D.Va jumps on Depresso's head, he takes the Ana and is still looking the other direction. There is a take right here in his eyeballs and does not care. That is how confident that Depresso is and how sure of his team and their ability to keep him alive.
That's Widowmaker at its core. The confidence. It's all about confidence. It's all about being able to land the headshots and knowing that you can get away while also having confidence in your team as well to be able to protect you. And that's exactly what they did. But we're going to throw it to a quick break to set up for an interview. We'll be right back.
Players, because I talk to so many of our athletes that compete in our CECC series that are currently still in college, and basically what when Mike Blewett says NIL, what he's referring to is just very simple. If a brand or any sort of anyone wants to use your school's name or your brand or anything with you, there is a deal for you that can be put in place, whether it's product deal, whether it's a paid endorsement. You can, whether you're a macro influencer or whether you're a micro influencer, you can be paid for your services. So most of the people, when I talk to them, most of the, I won't say people, college athletes, they are, intimidated by the word. They don't really know what it means. They've never done anything with it before. And that's what it means. Any single time a brand or anyone at all wants to use your name or do a deal with you or do some sort of activation with you or your school, that's basically what the layman's terms, the NIL meaning comes from. And it's evolving in this space. There are so many brands that want to associate with micro and macro influencers and just get people involved with their products or their services. So all of you, collegiate athletes out there that are competing in esports, not only are we trying to broker those deals, but also keep your eyes, ears open, and don't be shy or scared to take these deals, because that's what I've heard the most, is that most of the time they're just scared to take them. They don't know what they are. They don't know if they're locking themselves into some agreement or terms that they're like going to give their name away or something too. So this is a really important space, and it's how you're all going to physically make money and build your brands along with company brands. So it's really important to learn. And my advice is to just get your feet wet. Don't worry about shying away. Read the contracts and take some of these deals, because growing your own brand is the future of what our industry is going to be, in my opinion.
Exactly, and if you follow in the pro space, you'll see that the pro teams are not only focusing on competitive play, but a lot of them are focusing on their brand and their cultural importance in the space. And so, one of the things that we do also is help athletes build their brand, build their following, and that's part of what Paulie and Kyler are doing on their side when we do this behind the scenes training. And so, building your brand, this is the creator economy. Anybody and everybody can be anything they want to be. And so we just really want to be the conduit that supports that across the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. With that said, thank you everyone for, I think, great insights in terms of, for any of you that were watching this and maybe had questions about, what is Esports U, what is CSMG, who are they, what are they doing, what are our plans, right? Well, we know we kind of tried to make a bigger splash in the spring, and we're excited to bring more stuff with you guys for the next year. But I think maybe as we close out here, I know we're slowly approaching on time then, but maybe let's go around the room with everyone here of just what's one thing that we're all excited for this next upcoming year. I know we touched on our plans and a lot of things, but if anyone had to speak, if you had to speak to just one thing of just what has you excited for us as a company, for us as the collegiate or college esports space, right? What's one thing that has all of you guys excited? And maybe we'll start with Mike, since our traditional sports guy, and we'll let Mike speak first.
Sure. So I would say many things on the traditional side, but I'll focus on esports. And I'd say the thing that I'm most excited about going forward is, after yet another year of us doing a round of events, I'm excited that more schools will understand exactly what we're doing with our regional events and culminating in CECC and getting more schools involved. I think schools will be more excited to compete in our events because we've established it over the course of a year, and I welcome any and all conversations with getting people involved.
I think for me, I'm most excited about the schools and conferences. Mike, that's amazing. That's so exciting. I'm also excited about the brands that we're starting to be able to get involved in this. In our Commissioner's Cup in last May, we had over 14 brands, blue chip brands, participating in our event. Barbasol, Microsoft, CDW, Morgan Stanley, New Street, Air Force. And so I think brands are really starting to get excited about being involved in college esports, and we're offering them a platform that not only gives them, a big event, a big yearly event, but also regular daily programming where they can have exposure in front of this audience that they want to build affinity for with their brand. So I'm super excited about seeing the brands get on board and help grow the space along with us. A rising tide lifts all boats, and I think that's probably one of our mottos here at CSMG and Esports U. We're growing our brand, but at the same time, we're also really growing the college esports.
We are joined by the amazing Keller from Fisher, and this is going to be a fun interview, by the way, because, well, Kat, and Keller, by the way, you guys, I think you're playing by a pool, right?
Yeah, no, it started raining mid-match. I've lived in Boston my whole life. I know it's rainy here, but inside is not quite something I expected.
Yeah.
So we will deal with that, but we hurried to the other room. We got back on, and we played it out.
Yeah, so how's the team feeling after that win? I mean, like, you guys were playing crazy games. It looked like it was a little back and forth on Nepal, but once you got onto Hollywood, it was just a whole different story, and especially on Watch Point.
Yeah, I think we really locked in. Obviously, the rain kind of threw us off, but we got into Hollywood. We said, like, we need to get this done. So we locked in, and then Gibraltar. I mean, that's not me. That's all the press stuff.
No joke.
The Fresno show online for sure. And I think lately we got to see what's that Overwatch League being online. A lot of teams switching over to what is going to be a Genji nerf composition running through in Banana Rush. But you guys still soaping in that last bit of Genji. How do you feel about what is this new meta to come up, and how does it affect you as somebody who is playing on that Genji?
Well, I love Genji. It's my most played hero, so I'm trying to eke out every last ounce of Genji that I can get in the current meta because it's still playable. But I think I'm going to be in Reaper jail, which I have accepted, and it'll happen.
Yeah, you're ready to go. And listen, it's admirable that you're trying to squeeze out as much as you can, and that you've already resigned yourself to the Reaper fate that you are more than likely going to excel in, especially after how we saw you play Genji tonight. And so, yeah, going into that, how is the team preparing for this upcoming meta shift? I mean, we've already seen how well you guys are able to make it work tonight, but is there anything that you guys are looking forward to improve with even further in this meta?
Well, I think we have a very strong roster. We have 10 people who all play at a really high level. So I think we're just make sure everybody's on the same page, keep playing hard, keep working together. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think
so too.
Your results definitely speak to that. A 5-0 flawless season start so far here in week 5 of the ECAC. And on top of that, just coming off of a massive land victory in the CECC. How do you feel with your team? Do you feel like these results are here to stay? And how confident are you in Fisher College?
I'm extremely confident. I think we're very strong. We're playing in the Boston Uprising Collegiate Cup this weekend.
Congratulations.
I think we will win. I mean, there's some very strong teams, but I'm confident in my team. I think we'll make it happen. So yeah, I think these results are here to stay. I think Fisher College on top.
That's the energy I like to hear. Not just playing, but hoping to take the W as you should. A true competitor. And well, the most important question of all to close us out: who do you want to thank here on the broadcast? A significant other, maybe your mama, the team. Tell us what's up.
I want to thank my dad because he's probably watching. I love you so much, and my dog at home as well. Love you, Gilly.
Man, Keller, you're breaking my heart over here. You're filling my heart with feelings. So
I'm glad.
But absolutely, thank you so much for coming on, though, man. It was a great chance to be able to talk with you and pick your brain, especially about some of the things that are going to be upcoming in Overwatch 2 and ECAC as well. On top of that, so thank you very much.
All right, have a great night. Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much.
You. Oh, fantastic! The dog definitely happy with the performance, and The roster, man, I think they got that dog in
Ooh.
them, Sam Talks.
Oh yeah, they do. That is a roster that's going to be going all of the way, and like they said, they're going to be in the Boston Uprising Collegiate Cup this weekend. So that is, after the way that they played tonight, I think that's going to be an easy dub.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you, but that will close us out here on the Esports U Network for the night. Make sure to tune back in tomorrow, though. Valorant's on the way, but for now, we'll see you later.
Obviously, always seeing the collegiate esports space elevate. Coming from a competing, this didn't exist when I was competing, and just to see it now in literally within the last 5 years, probably really come to fruition and start just blossomed out of nowhere, and now becoming a space and seeing everyone, schools, players, productions, companies all elevate together has been really, really nice to see. But if I was the most excited for one thing, it would probably be the city where we're going to land for CC23. I'm really excited to know where we're going to be. There's a lot of great cities. I mean, I personally would love for it to come to New York, despite whether we got a positive bid or not. I want it to come to New York, but I just think the atmosphere in New York when you throw an event here is just super magical, especially in the summertime. But either way, I'm really excited to see where it lands. Tons of great cities, tons of great opportunities, and yeah, who knows? And I think that's going to be the most exciting process for me.
Absolutely. I won't speak to anything. I think I'm filling Paulie's job on this one because Paulie's more a panelist than this one. So, normally Paulie's the host, and I don't know. I think me personally, I'll just say something real quick. I'm just excited to keep telling your stories. If you're a student, if you're a program, let me know. Let us, reach out to us. We just ultimately at the end of the day, we want to tell your story, and I think that's what has me most excited because now I think we're getting to a point where people know us. I hope you guys trust us. And and we just want to keep expanding and growing the space. So with that, Paulie, I won't make you do the weird thing where you got to toss to yourself, unless you want to do that. I don't know. Actually, you might have a way of doing this.
All right.
Let's test it. Yeah. Okay.
All right,
How do you want to throw yourself here?
Well, that's going to conclude here the future of collegiate with CSMG and Esports U. Thank you so much to Angela, Mike Blewett, and Kyler Tandle for hosting our panel. And now back to myself for the day 3 of the CSMG Coaches and Director Summit 2022.
My name is Jacob. I'm 21 and it's my first year in this school. I already been to community college for the last 2 years, but I transferred here. It's a whole new program.
What made you transfer?
I wanted to do something different. I already have an associate's degree in business administration, and I wanted to come to this school and do audio production, just like music engineering stuff.
So what do you want to do with that?
The main goal is to work in like music studios and like help with like the music creation process. Anywhere kind of in the audio recording realm is fine with me.
And do you have a go-to genre of music that you like?
I don't know. It's all over the place, to be honest.
Yeah, no judgment.
It's all over the place.
So how do you like the program that you're in now? Do you like your school?
Yes, I really do like this school, and with this whole esport thing, I think it just made it a little bit better because like it's new, it's you don't do it, not everyone has it, and it's something that I'm very interested in and have been interested in for a while.
You didn't have esports at your old school?
I want to say there was a club, but I didn't know anything of it.
This is your first time being part of a collegiate esports team then?
Yes.
And how do you like it? Like how do you feel about it?
I love it, to be honest. Growing up, I played baseball through senior year of my high school. I wasn't like doing anything traditional sport wise in college. It wasn't until this year that I was like, oh, because like I saw it, like I saw like a poster hanging up. I was like, oh, esports, let's just go do it. I really like it though. Something cool, something new. My friends like it, so I'm like, cool.
What are your games that you play?
I play Valorant for the school. On like the side, I've been playing Fortnite recently, and I play Osu sometimes.
So how does it feel being a part of the team? Do you like your team?
Yes, I do. I pretty much made friends with all of them. Obviously, I have met them. Since a lot of things have been remote recently, I still have met them, and they're very nice kids. Our arena is being built at the moment. The Valorant team should be getting in there first, so I'm very excited to play in there.
What do you do to improve yourself in game, and do you take that strategy into your everyday life as well?
For in game, I try and play every day. That's kind of like the one thing I try to do. Even if I have like a little burnout from it, maybe from like the previous day, I still try to get on and do something. Of course, you watch YouTube. There's a millions of things that you can watch on YouTube. I like to watch different content creators in that niche just to like inspire me to play a little bit more, you know. Do I carry it into my everyday life? I do. I'm very into like music production. There's a lot of things you can do like the same thing. You do it every day. You watch YouTube in that niche. You take things you learn and you apply it. There's a lot of similarities of things like if you want to do something, you very much have to dive deep into that niche of things you want to do.
If you had to guess or just kind of spitball here, how many hours a week do you think you spend gaming?
Honestly, I've never thought about it. I'm on my computer